Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are going into the last day of NA Division 2, and it is MLP Dota and John X Fire. Jonathan, welcome back. So the final day, well, I say final day, obviously there might be another day, but regardless, we're in the official final day of NA Div 2. How the hell are you doing?
Doing great, Mike. We've got to see who gets into those tiebreakers today, who gets to go into Div 1 without having to play 2 tiebreakers, and it's quite the series to tie us off here, Mike. Wildcard up against the Cut. We've heard a lot of talk from the Cut, but wanting to play up against Wildcard, all of them pretty friendly with each other, having a lot of history back and forth. So it should be a fun one to close out here before tiebreakers, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, friendly is a word, Jonathan. Everyone says they're friendly until Sammy Boy's in the picture, and suddenly there's problems going on. We have highlights, so we have a lot of highlights to look at. So we're going to have a look at those, see what happened on the previous day of NA Div 2. Of course, it was a huge day, Jonathan. American Goons up against Nexus Titans was the way we started off the day. Unsurprisingly, NA Goons do end up putting off the victory. Though the side of the Goons, John, rather the Nexus Titans, they do pull off one game their way, which was game number 1, actually. This game we were looking at right now. So I thought it would be a 2-0 victory here for NA Goons, but that wasn't quite the case. We did have a 1-game pickup here from Nexus Titans. Sadly, that didn't really end up mattering because they didn't end up winning the series, so they are still relegated out of Division 2, but at least they made it a bit of a close series here, John.
Yeah, they managed to drag one game back their way. It does feel like, you know, those issues we've seen with the American Goons, they still hold, even towards the end. It's a little bit inconsistent. People have a lot of expectations. I think, you know, pretty much all of us expected this to be a 2-0 up against Nexus Titans. Props to the Titans for finding an opening, but for the Goons, it does signify a lot more that has to be improved upon coming into TI qualifiers, TI regional qualifiers, into the next year's DPC. So I'm looking forward to see if what sort of adjustments are made here by the Goons down the line. The Titans, of course, unfortunately, with that loss, they get confirmed to be knocked out. Not that they had a strong chance of staying in anyway because of the results of the last few days. So the Titans were just playing for glory, I suppose, as you like to put it, Mike, when we do close out these tours.
Yeah.
I do want to say, though, Game 2 was pretty straightforward. They managed to pick up that Visage with a phylactery sort of build. The Game 3 was interesting to me because that's the one with a Lion. They had a Lion with a Storm and a Medusa on hand for the American Goons. So someone must have been listening to a few VODs and someone took some advice. It did work, but I would heavily suggest against listening to any advice you might hear in the cast.
Absolutely. So game 2, of course, going the way of NA Goons, and game 3 doing kind of the same thing. But props to Nexus Titans. At least they pull off a game 1 victory here. So, you know, somewhat ending on a high note. And it looks like there was a few tips going on here at the end of game number 2. NA Goons, of course, you know, they make it through, but they're probably not going to be too happy with where they've ended up. I believe last time we spoke to the boys from NA Goons, they did mention they had much higher expectations of themselves, and obviously those were not met. But you know, it happens, Jonathan. You know, we have high expectations of ourselves, and they never get met. So we can relate to these boys. So there's your game 3 ending here, or start rather, between themselves and Nexus Titans. Nice attempt, but they don't end up pulling off the victory. Spoiler alert, in case you weren't watching. It was a big day of Dota though, Jonathan, so plenty of highlights to come. This is the one game we didn't get to see ourselves because I believe B-Cop and Lacoste were actually casting this one. So there's a beautiful ultra kill from Boris to end the game.
Yeah, I agree. We close out. Pretty dominant game for the Goons this time around. Again, they had a Lion. They had the level 15 talent of Lion kick in. It was amazing. I think Lacoste was like, yeah, this is working. I was like, yes, it does work, Lacoste.
He
Thank
did
you.
say that.
I'm vindicated.
Here's game 1 of Grin versus Tilted Boys, of course. This is the one we were casting, John. Tilted Boys looking fantastic to end their season off. We did speak to Skyward right after as well, which was a real pleasure because, you know, we haven't been able to speak to Skyward this whole season. But, you know, he did kind of mention he didn't necessarily have the greatest of expectations for his team. Obviously, they would have liked to perform better than they did, but in terms of his own self-improvement, I believe he was somewhat happy because you'd have to argue the man has improved quite a bit here in Div 2. And I've got to say, with Tilted Boys, John, every time we watched them, it felt like they should have been a team that maybe should have placed a little bit higher up, like maybe top 4, I want to say, with their performances. Obviously, that didn't end up happening, but I'd say next year, going into Div 2 for 201, you know, this might be a team to look out for, John. Like, again, you saw some very promising signs from these boys.
Yeah, I think they've looked really solid. Ferta and Volodka have looked like a very solid core duo. And I think, honestly, the entire lineup feels like it's just on the cusp of being contenders for Div 1. Again, this tour has been really competitive. It's just that the differences between the top 4 and the bottom 4 are, for the most part, pretty minute. It's all down to just playing better as a team. I think individually, the side of Tilted Boys are really, really strong. And I'd like to see that grow. Same thing with Grin. I think we've seen them on the edge of trying to find these wins. Rojo Fireflu's had a really interesting mid-pool. We've heard Skyward say the bottles were because every single time he plays Rojo Fireflu in a pub, it's that everyone TPs in to fill his bottle. You know, everyone ensures Rojo Fireflu has that kind of game. You know, it's trust in that player, especially in like in your ranked immortal pubs where, you know, you're trying to feed down mid. You know that's the hero to watch out for. Of course, we did have C-Dub versus Ravens to tie off. This one a really surprising result in my opinion, Mike. Going 2-0 Ravens way, considering how C-Dub looked the entire tour, not finding a single game off. You and I thought this would be competitive, but both games felt like a stomp.
Yeah, they certainly did here. C-Dub, I'm not sure what happened on this day, but we did speak to Italian Gangster, who did mention he thought it was going to be a pretty easy matchup himself. He said he knew the secret against his team, and all it is just farm. Just out-farm them and you'll eventually beat them. That's exactly, well, not exactly what he said, but basically along those lines. And well, C-Dub, I was very shocked myself. Obviously, Game 1 was a pretty big stomp, and quite frankly, Game 2 was an even bigger stomp. C-Dub just unable to recover throughout this series. And turns out Ravens knew exactly what they were doing to begin with going into the series, John, because they pulled off a very, very simple victory for themselves, which has ended them up in a spot where they have a chance at Division 1. Obviously, the tiebreaker will happen tomorrow after the series we have today, but yeah, props to the side of Ravens, John. I've always liked this team. I always thought, you know, these guys are fantastic, and you know they proved it to us yesterday. Because even I thought there's no way C-Dub's just gonna, you know, well, I'd rather Ravens just gonna outrun win like this. But that's exactly what happened. They made it look very easy.
Yeah, they didn't even look like it was a tough matchup at all. Like it felt like C-Dub had nothing to play with. Game 1, I suppose you could call that a drafting error. Game 2 was a lot better in draft, so just outplayed by the side of Ravens here. As we do take a look at our scoreboard, of course, today our matchup of the cut and wild card will determine who will be stuck in number 2, tied in with C-Dub and Ravens. And then those are the two teams following afterwards, 5-2. Our bottom half, of course, Tilted Boys, American Goons, Nexus Titans, and Grin lined up for location in those last two. But we also have a little bit of a tie between Tilted Boys and the Goons, so I'm assuming there might be a tiebreaker for that one, just for the prize pool. And it is significant here in Div 2, a $2,000 difference. So I'm sure both teams would love to play that out, if that is something that we will play out. But the big one is the Div 1, right? Like the cut versus wildcard, our one matchup today. One of these teams will end up with a scoreline of 5-2. One of them will end up with a scoreline of 6-1. And the 5-2 team will have to play against C-Dub and Ravens. You know, the three-way tie. The best of ones, Mike. The infinite tiebreakers.
Infinite tiebreakers, Jonathan. That gets me very, very excited. And I mean, like you said, one of the teams today is going to be a Div 1 team. Once again, it could be wildcard, could be the cut. You know, a lot of stress on these two teams to try and make the big win happen here today. And I do wonder, like, how they're feeling going into this. Obviously, we can't really have a chat with them now, but I'm sure there are a few nerves going into this game 1 between the cut and wild card, because you know, obviously you want to get off on the right foot here for this series. I want to say wild card should be the favorites, but they have been dropping the ball here or there, and they have looked, you know, not as good as you would assume. A lot of their harder series have also gone to 3 games where you would assume they should be able to 2-0. Considering wildcard is usually a Division 1 team, But that just hasn't been the case. There's been plenty of 3-game series here in Division 1 with Wildcard, and I can't confidently say that they should have a decent advantage against the Cut going into this matchup, because it's too hard to pick. It really is. We're just going to have to wait and see exactly how they show up today.
Yeah, I feel like this just depends on almost like who wakes up on the right side of bed this morning. Whoever feels better about their game tends to have a better time. That's just how close it is in Division 2, where it doesn't feel like individually there's that much of a skill difference, as we can take a look at our stats now. And even our stats reflect that very close race here, Mike. In fact, it's a little bit better for the Cut outside of just the deaths. They've got more kills, they've got way more assists, so more activity across as a team. Wildcard, again, there's some games where Wildcard just kind of sit back and farm up, try to recover, try to work the map, where that lack of activity does give openings to other teams, and that does show up a little bit in the stats. Again, you slow down a bit, you get less kills, you get less assists, you're trying to farm, you're trying to avoid the enemy team. I do like seeing more active stats here for the Cut.
I mean, absolutely. I'm not sure if that's because perhaps the Cut have a higher average game time, perhaps, but it certainly feels like the stats are favoring them, or even in this department, like more building damage, XPM and average GPM is actually exactly even between the two. So there you go. Could be a much closer matchup than you'd first anticipate between these two teams. And I would not be surprised to see a 3-game series here to end off NA Div 2, at least in the official series. It's just, I would be surprised to see a 2-0 between these two, the way things have been going. Mind you, I was surprised to see a 2-0 yesterday as well. And the team that I thought probably wouldn't put off the victory did. So, you just can't predict these things in NA Div 2. You've got to just let the players play it out. I wonder if we see any kind of weird strategies come out, like any unique kind of drafts to come out here, because for example, yesterday with Ravens, we saw the position 1 Broodmother come out from, position 3 rather, but it felt like a position 1 Broodmother from Italiano Gangster, the way he was playing it. I just wonder whether we're going to see some interesting drafts coming up.
Yeah, I think that's going to stem maybe more on the mids here, and we can take a look at a player comparison here for our two mid laners of RCY and MTD. I think it kind of stems down to here, because the quirkiest heroes are played by MTD. He plays stuff like the Zeus mid, he loves his Timbersaw mid, he still likes his Snap mid, he's played a lot of Lina mid. I think RCY has some specialties as well, stuff like his Invoker can come out, so I think when it comes down to those quirky picks, the mid matchup here is rather interesting. And again, he's looked promising this entire time. He's got the stats to back it up. Like RCY, sure, he's a younger fella, he's relatively fresh in the scene, but he's been playing for at least a year or two now in the DPC. And MTD is just coming out of nowhere. This Finnish prodigy is looking great. Hats off again to T-Panda, even though you dislike that, Mike.
Well, what do I dislike, John? What do I dislike?
Giving your hat off to T-Panda because it gets into his head or something. You said that.
That's true. That's true.
Great foddering here from Mike LaPhoenix.
Well, we can't compliment anyone too much, Jonathan. We can't have them thinking they're above us in any way. It's very important. Anyway, going into the draft, game number 1. Yeah, I'm kind of showing off a few insecurities I have, John, going into this game 1. It's the kind of wild card. Here we go. Broodmother is banned out from wildcard. Again, you heard Italiano Gangster say it. This hero is completely broken in the POS 1 role. And he did make the prediction yesterday that at the major you'd see it picked up once in position 1 and it would be banned every game. I'm actually very curious to see if he's going to be right, by the way, going into the major. I'm going to be keeping tabs on that to see if we do see much of a POS 1 Broodmother coming out. But we are going to see the wildcard techies as the first pick, unsurprisingly. The Cut, however, they are going to respond with a Clinks and a Spirit Breaker to come out. So wildcard, not to be outdone, John, straight into the Enigma.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Enigma. I don't think that here feels great. Sure, you can still deny melee creeps with Eidolons. You can still hold the lane that way, but it feels like the laning pressure an Enigma has isn't that great. Malefice is not the best stun in the world. I guess you could play with a Techie's lane if you are running something like the offlane Enigma. If you are running Enigma Techie support duo, that sounds really bad. Just because, well, at least one lane goes good with Techies. The Enigma lane, I'm not sure what you really do there. Granted, you don't have the best ways to kind of stop the Black Hole here from the Cut. I say that, but you do have Spirit Breaker, I suppose, early on, although a Lincoln's kind of fixes a lot of issues. Lincoln's BKB, assuming the Enigma will focus on that Black Hole. So you have some solutions here from Wildcard. For the cut, Clink's Spirit Breaker, really aggressive support duo. You can kind of run the off-lane Spirit Breaker here as well. Don't mind that too much. You've got some pretty good targets to run down here as the Clinks. Like, you can melt the Enigma, you can melt the Techies quite nicely, so you already have some good targets to hunt. Once you do have that full solo crest up, shouldn't be too hard here for the Clinks to start ganking around. And going back to your point about the Broodmother a little bit, I think Italiano is wrong in that I don't think anyone's going to be able to pick it at all. I'm pretty sure this tech has come out in scrims, and this is just straight up a first phase ban. Like, you will not see Broodmother slide through. If you do, well, the team that lets it slide through, I will say a lot of tisks and head shakes will come out towards their way. Because I'm pretty sure, just looking at what Broodmother does with Insatiable Hunger, 70% base damage increase. It's like, on a stat building hero universal type, like that's not a smart hero to let through.
Actually, I had a bit of an experience myself, John. Right after that series yesterday, I actually opened up a demo with Broodmother. What did I build? I built Harpoon Manta and popped Insatiable Hunger, just with those items alone, and I think I had almost 400 damage, which was it's like 2 items and I have 400 damage as Broodmother. You know, with insane movement speed and spider webs. I have slows with Silken Bowler. It was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. It was atrocious to see. So, Jonathan, I'm trying to say to you, I'm going to become a position 1 player from now on. I'll see you in the next patch. You know?
Oh, you don't need to switch to position 1. You can just play off lane. You still itemize the same damn way. It doesn't matter, Mike. You know, you still have that lane presence. So you don't need to fight for pause 1. I'm sure your pause 3 would still be very happy, Mike. It's a great hero.
No fighting. I'll just change my name to 1 or feed, and that'll be it. Simple as that, you know. I know how it works in SCA. Either I play carry or I run it down, Jonathan. I've seen the Quinn. Come on now.
I've had someone name themselves Pause 4 God in the game, and they were straight up the worst Pause 4 I might have seen in quite a fair bit. We were like a 3 stack, and the 2 randoms. One of them was a Pause 4 God, and it's like, all right, let's see what he has, and it's like, oh God. It did make me say God for sure, not in a positive way.
No. That tends to happen, John, as we do see an Elder Titan coming out from the cut, something a little bit different. I do wonder, like, support Elder Titan or offlane Elder Titan, like, what are we actually looking at here? I do like the hero in particular against heroes like Enigma, because it's a nice way of just cancelling Black Hole from a mile away. You know, you really do force the BKB usage. You need the Lincoln Sphere as well on the Enigma, because you're up against the Spirit Breaker, who's not going to make it easy with Nether Strike. We saw this yesterday as well. I can't remember what series it was exactly, but Enigma did not feel very good from what we saw yesterday. It felt like a very, very stagnant kind of hero right now that, you know, if it has a bad laning stage or if it gets countered too hard, it just does nothing. And that's exactly what we saw yesterday, just nothing happening from this hero. And it might be a similar case today with the way things are going.
Yeah, again, it doesn't do much in lane. If it's a support, as an offlane, you can, I guess, be greedier, farm up, and I don't mind it as much as a core because you will just farm. As a support, you really don't contribute that much, unless you can really use Malefice in lane, which not a lot of heroes do. I think the Elder Titan should be our support here. Support duo of Elder Titan plus Clinks is pretty nice. It's a lot of aggression. It gives you another way of trying to stop the black hole, I suppose, from a mile away until the BKB's on. So you've got a semi-reliable way of stopping that channeled spell from Wildcard. And as you mentioned, you're always going to have damage up with your Spirit coming out just because of the summons from the Enigma. Wildcard will go all in on the summons, going for the Beastmaster plus the Ember now. So a lot of ratting that Wildcard can get done here. Their laning presence, like say Beastmaster plus Techies, is pretty nice, although I think ideally you'd actually just run Beastmaster and Enigma. Play a more passive lane, just try to farm up, work the jungle, get some information out. Use the Techies to maybe enable your pause 1 instead. I wouldn't mind that too much. Again, just true to the fact that it just feels like Enigma 5 will not do anything. So you might as well run the Techies 5 where it can do something for your pause 1. Get that going. The cut though into Bristleback. So that's one way as well to deal with all of the summons coming out. Just have Quill Spray, have the Nasal Goo up, lots of minus armor, lots of rundown potential. We've seen at least one Bristleback game on the pause one, and that was Scourge McDuck playing it. There's no hard counters to it here. You know, no natural breaks, no way of just kiting it around with a ranged hero. Malphus might be annoying, but for the most part, you're playing against two melee on the Ember and on the Beastmaster. And look at that, one pick from Scourge McDuck, and I'm pretty sure that's only Scourge McDuck, and 100% win rate. It's over. The cut's won.
It's all over, ladies and gentlemen. We can close things up now. No need to watch this game anymore. The Bristleback is here. I don't know, like this hero is quite interesting because it has a bit of a timing, and it does feel like it doesn't scale the best into the late game at the moment. I think the last time we saw Scourge McDuck play this hero, it did feel like they were in a rush to finish the game because of the perhaps the timings of the Bristleback. But you know, I still think it's very good against the Enigma, very good against the Beastmaster. Like you said, John, there's no counters right now for the Bristleback. In fact, I can only imagine what Wildcard could go for here to try and make sure they can kind of contest this Bristleback this game. Because all you need now is a position 1 for Sammy. And it's like, what position 1's going to feel that great against this Bristleback? Because one of the ones that does come to mind was a Slark, and that's removed. So yeah, it's like, what do you really want now? Like, do you go for a Terrorblade? You know, trying to abuse that high armor, try to go for that Skadi timing. Is that the way you play against a Bristleback? But is that going to take too long?
It does feel like it's maybe a bit slower paced. I say that, but with a Beastmaster and an Enigma, you can kind of tie in with, say, an early Yasha and go for a push. With Metamorphosis, that tends to be a really good tempo set by Terrorblade players, where they get maybe 1 or 2 items up, smaller items up, like say Dragonlance, Yasha, join their team for a push, and just kind of maintain momentum that way, going back to farm, joining in for an objective every now and again. I think that's a good way to balance it out for Wildcard if they do go for the Terrorblade. The cut thinking hard about what to take out. They will take out the Faceless Void, so they are allowing something like the Sammy Boy TB to come true. There are other options as well that could work. They just go for the Terrorblade, more straightforward. Again, there's decent enough tempo coming out here. I do worry about the lane. Terrorblade, Enigma lane. Again, if you are running Pawns 5 Enigma, not the best. Terrorblade plus Techie's lane a lot better. I think that's a lane that can actually get kill threat with a Reflection and a Metamorphosis with Sticky Bomb and Blast Off. So I wouldn't mind him to actually just run that dual lane, run the Beastmaster Enigma. For the cut, we are assuming now Spirit Breaker offlane, so that's not the worst thing in the world for the Terrorblade to lean into.
I think it's a pretty easy RCY Pango game if they wanted to just go pick up the Pangolier. Excuse me, it's MTD, of course. Oh, I just get everyone mixed up. Never mind, MTD's pick. Do you want to see the Zeus, John? I mean, the Zeus seems pretty good here against the TB. Here.
Yeah, for sure. Wave clear as well. Additional wave clear up against the summons. Matchup against the Ember is not the worst. It's pretty damn good. Melt through Flame Guard and just keep harassing out. Your right clicks aren't to be underestimated as well, with a range advantage there. If not Zeus, then Lina. Because the magic damage Lina does will just melt Terrorblade right through.
True. Very true. I keep forgetting. Oh, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. What's going on here, John? So a Darkseer comes out. Who's playing what? Who's playing mid? Well, what's MTD doing now?
I think a mid Darkseer.
What? No, come on. I think mid Spirit Breaker is probably better, surely.
No, it's mid Darkseer.
Oh, what?
I think the lane is really good. Like you could just run down the Ember. Iron Shell up, level 3 is gonna be a nice timing. You don't care too much if the Ember's trying to melt you because you'll just melt through his Flame Guard. We used to see a lot of Darkseer mids before. That was mainly like Mamang Daya in Southeast Asia. I like seeing it here. It's pretty interesting. MTD, again, this guy we talked about in the player comparisons. He's got a very quirky mid pool, and he goes for the Darkseer. We haven't seen this in like 2 years, Mike.
Okay. You know what, John? I'm not going to judge it until we see what it does. I'm going to reserve judgment here against the MTD Darkseer. And you know what, John? I feel like this might be the 4th or 5th time I've had to say I'm going to reserve judgment against MTD's pick, and he always proves me wrong. So, I'm just not going to say anything anymore against this man. So Darkseer, I do agree, against the Ember Spirit, it does seem like it'll work out quite nicely with the Iron Shells. Mind you, you are going to be pushing in the lane quite a lot, but perhaps MTD wants that. Perhaps he wants to just rotate into the jungle camps and start taking those out as well, start scaling in terms of farm just much faster than the Ember. Against the Terrorblade, obviously it's a great pick as well because you love taking the Terrorblade illusions. We've seen this against Medusa a lot, I want to say, just going for the Ags Rush, going for the Vac walls and just having a billion illusions surrounding Medusa. It's not too bad against a TB either. Like the illusions hit like absolute trucks. Scardy's going to make your life even better as the Darkseer, and I don't know. This could be a very interesting game here between these two. The cut wild card, interesting drafts coming up from both sides. I'm going to ask you a very challenging question, John. Who came out with the better draft?
I'd actually say the cut. You picked Terrorblade. Sure, it's a great matchup against Bristleback, but you picked Terrorblade into an Elder Titan lineup. Right? That's already a little bit wonky. You've got some really good aggression coming out here from the cut. The tempo feels really good. I just don't know what your support Enigma will do for Sunlight. Like, what do you expect this hero to do in lane? What do you expect it to do in the game if you can't get off your black hole? And it is a pause 5 for Sunlight. So, Terrorblade Enigma lane. That just doesn't sound like a outstanding lane to me. Up against what you're bringing out here with the Spirit Breaker and the Clinks. I think you get run down a little bit on the Enigma. Sure, Terrorblade shouldn't be under constant threat, but you've got a lot of play for the cut early on. And mind you, Mike, you have to remember a couple of things about Darkseer here. Universal type, so double bracer build wouldn't be too bad in the mid, or just a single bracer. You've got... Look at his damage gain per level. He gets 5 damage per level. I think he's the highest in terms of universal type stat gain. One of the highest at 5.0.
Okay, that's actually insane. 5 damage per level. Well, what the hell is this? Oh, what if MTD, right? Like, he was like one of the first pros that actually tried Lightning Hands in pro games and kept doing it. What if this is like a right-click Darkseer? Could we not see that? Like, is that such a weird thing to ask for?
No.
Well, I don't know, John. I don't know how to feel. Okay.
I want to see it. You know, I want to see that Echo Saber Harpoon Darkseer build into the Ags. So you run up, harpoon them in to your punch, and just run them down. That could be a funny way of building Darkseer. I don't know if that's how it goes, but we shall see. Already shoving in that mid. Already hitting level 2. And Sammy does get first blood, though. That
he certainly does. Mid. They had a tri-lane going on top lane, John, so it was a pretty easy setup here from Wildcard to secure first blood. Of course, Sammy will be the one to pick it up, so a very strong start here for Sammy on the TB. Something you desperately want in a game like this where you just don't know what the hell is going to happen with this draft from the cut. I must admit, I almost started laughing to myself when I saw MTD go from 63 damage to 68 damage in 81 level, but you are right, it is 5 damage per level. We can have a look at the bottom lane while we're at it. Monster and Flea going to be up against Scourge, McDuck, and Empyrean, which looks like it's going to be a pretty favored lane towards the cut. I mean, even with the Techies Beastmaster, I don't necessarily think you can have the greatest time against the older Titan just on his own. When you add a Bristleback to the equation, it's not going to get too much easier.
No, it certainly doesn't. I think the one thing you do have for Wildcard is the fact that your blast off is not going to be interrupted. I don't see Empyrean getting a very well-timed stomp to sleep the Techies mid-flight, so you should always be able to land that. You should always be able to trade favorably here for Flea. You already see Empyrean dropping very low to dispel spam and harassment. But to zone out Scourge McDuck is a lot harder, especially once he hits his Ring of Health. I don't think you're scared of too much here on that Bristle. But again, Techies does a lot of work in this lane, just because no one will be able to trade with him. Empyrean can't really trade right clicks there. And as Flea gets, say, level 3, level 4, that's when things can maybe get a little bit dicier for Scourge McDuck.
We'll see. Top lane. Bit of a dive going on. B-God again going to drop. So Sammy and Sunlight really making this duo work quite nicely. That was without the Metamorphosis up, I believe. They just end up securing a kill onto B-God right by the tier 1 tower. So... well, even I thought, John, that this duo of the offlane for the cut would be much more dominant than what we've been seeing so far, but it seems like Wildcard, they've got this lane on lockdown.
Yeah, the one thing for Ade and for B-God is that they need levels to really start applying some aggression here. Your Clinks especially is stuck at level 1, doesn't do too much. You really need to start getting the Death Pack, start getting the Strafe to threaten. Until that's up, then it's just a little bit more uncomfy for B-God to try to find openings. So you are getting a lot of value here for Sunlight. He is out of regen for mana, so he only has really one Malefice use left, and either or with the demonic conversion. So we'll see how well that lane goes as it develops. Taking a look down mid, I mean, you're kind of stomping right now as MTD.
Yeah.
You just Iron Shell run down the Ember. What's he gonna do? He doesn't even bother with the Flame Guard RCY, just wants to cut off of the Searing Chains, but it's not enough to stop the Darkseer from farming. MTD's gonna have a smooth ride up.
He'll rotate for the Bounty Rune now as well. This actually feels so clever. Like, mind you, I would have liked to see him just dive the Ember, you know, underneath that tier 1 tower. Just make sure you don't take the aggro of the tower, but he doesn't do it. He might do it a little bit later on, but this Darkseer mid lane does seem kind of clever against the Ember Spirit pick. We saw RCY, he didn't even bother going for Flame Guard at all, just not seeing the value in it this game, which is fair enough. MTD with the level 1 Surge can secure runes very easily as well. We saw he got the bounty, now he'll fill up the bottle with the water rune. It's kind of the thing, like, RCY, he'll have a level 6 before the 6-minute power runes spawn up, but had it been a hero that isn't as mobile, this Darkseer would literally just get every rune. Top lane, Ade is going to go down. Sammy picking up his 3rd kill of the game down the Terror lane. Still proving this duo works.
Yeah, they're doing a great job up top of just punishing maybe the passiveness of what Clunks does in lane. Like, he can't threaten too well onto the Terrorblade. Sunlight can just cut him off, threaten with Malefice. So you can't really look for just trading for B-God or Ade. And that is leading to that smooth start for the Terrorblade. It should be a fast timing into the Dragonlance here for Sammy. And again, you've got this tempo that Wildcard can go back into. You've got the push that you can tie in with your Beastmaster and your Enigma. And the Terrorblade wouldn't mind just popping out of jungle with Metamorphosis to get, say, a mid shove in if you can get that space out. So a strong start for Wildcard up top. But that is the only lane that feels like it's going well, because everything else is going the Cut's way. MTD with his mid, although he is forced to walk back with no one dying to refill his bottle, he is still having a fantastic time mid. You're getting a free lane now for Scourge McDuck. Flea and Monster just not able to threaten onto Scourge. With the Vanguard up, just doesn't feel feasible to look for a kill onto that Bristleback now. So this start for Sammy has to pay off. It is a Terrorblade, of course, but again, it's down to finding that earlier tempo Terrorblade playstyle where you join in for the push. I want to see Sammy bring that out here, considering he is the only hero that sort of has a game to play with, in terms of itemization at the very least.
Right. Power rune spawning up. A lot of activity here in the mid lane now. So MTD going to pick up the Invis rune for himself. Props to RCY, considering the lane matchup should not have favored him at all. He's actually ahead in CS, so he's having a pretty damn good time on the Ember. It's kind of the thing, if you can CS well under a tier 1 tower, I mean, it's going to be a nice time against the Darkseer, because he just wasn't pressured enough here by MTD. Top lane, looks like there's going to be another setup here from Sunlight. Just casually waiting for someone to pop the Malefice. But he's going to get charged first by Ade. B-God right behind him. Sunlight dropping low, but had some 1 charges. Meanwhile, Ade now going to be forced to run just a little bit. It's going to be fine. Sammy didn't have the Metamorphosis for another 7 seconds, so couldn't really try to abuse that. But he's more than happy to just keep hitting creeps anyway. Doesn't really want any more kills, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Empyrean going to try and steal the Wisdom Rune away. Nice stomp is going to land, though. Perfectly timed. But can he outclick Flea? He certainly can. Empyrean able to find 2 Wisdom Runes for his team. He's going to die for this, but we've seen this multiple times between teams. It's well worth it to die for securing double Wisdom Runes if you can.
Yeah, it's massive, especially taking that away from an Enigma. So you're stalling out Sunlight's level 6. You're stalling out that Black Hole threat for some of these team fights. And it just feels good. You're not having the best of times for Flea as well, getting some EXP going. So the Techie's timing's kind of thrown off a little bit. I'm wondering, though, what we see for MTD down mid. He already has the Ogre Axe up. Could just be that Echo Saber. Which, again, it does make a lot of sense, just surging up, getting double hits off with your right-click damage. Can be pretty damn nice here for MTD. I just don't know if that's what the team needs. It doesn't feel like you have the best jump-in potential from the cut without that blink and vacuum into the wall, as you are reliant on, what, pretty much an Echo Stomp out from Empyrean or the charge through from Ade. None of that reliable enough to really pin down the Ember here.
Oh, I see why. Nice Arcane Rune pickup. Using the Sleight of Fist to get that one. B-God was trying to help secure it for the Darkseer, but MTD did not make it in time. So you get the Arcane anyway on the Ember and does secure himself a very nice kill here up against B-God. I'm starting to have my doubts about this mid Darkseer. Like, I'm not seeing it yet. I'm not seeing the beauty in it.
Well, I don't think it's
hasn't RCY found too much?
He's found enough for sure, but I think you also haven't stopped MTD. The Darkseer does need bigger items in comparison to an Ember, and like Ember, just phase boots over Corrosion does feel really good. Darkseer core does need. I don't know if this is going to be the Axe Rush or Echo Saber. Either one. I wouldn't mind the Echo Saber overall, and just to have something to play with. The slow plus your Surge chase down with the Iron Shell, the damage can be overwhelming.
He didn't get the stack either because the Ogre Bruiser decided to Ogre Smash while the pull was happening. A little bit unfortunate for MTD. Top lane. A bit of a group up here. Ade looks like he's going to cop the gank. Chains are out. He does have charge bulldoze. Will pop the bulldoze in time. Gets a charge off, but does use it towards Flea and RCY. So not going towards the creep wave, but I suppose they would have cancelled anyway, so it's not too big of a deal. Really had no way out of that scenario. Meanwhile, RCY now going to find B-God to boot on the Clinks. B-God, he'll try to run, but RCY is hitting very hard now with the Orb of Corrosion, so he does have help incoming. RCY, a very nice remnant right through the Clinks, and that'll prove to be enough damage. It's Wildcard now pushing the top T1 tower while they're at it, forcing the rotation in from Scourge McDuck. Wildcard, though, they are putting a lot of pressure on the map here for the Cardin. They're kind of scrambling to try and address all the lanes that are under pressure.
0-7 right now, 2K lead coming out for Wildcard, and it is starting to crumble a bit. There is greed here for the side of the cut. Like running Link support does mean you're also waiting for that Solar Crest to really have impact. You're waiting for levels to be up on B-God, and that does mean you're just having to really shaft a lot of lanes, not have too much presence as the roar comes out onto Ade.
It does. Ade's not having a very good time. In fact, he just stands his ground. Oh, he disconnected. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, to be absolutely fair, nobody did anything on his team. You know, like it's your turn to pause if your team's disconnecting, and I guess Ade just maybe the internet cut out and they just lost his voice as well. Very unfortunate for Ade because he's not having a good game. He's 0-3-0 at the moment on the Spirit Breaker. Obviously now this will be the third death for him. It's Wildcard. They can start pressuring the bottom tier 1 tower. It won't take them too long to take this out with the TB, Beastmaster, and the Siege Creep on top.
Again, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Sammy. Just joining his team for objectives. With the Dragonlance up, he knows he has more than enough stats to survive through the initial onslaught coming out from the cut. And they just play the objective game. You've got the Beastmaster, you've got Enigma. You can clear out these towers very quickly. So you just play fast, try to keep the side of the cut down while they are playing a little bit greedier for mid-game tempo here. The one thing you are getting out for the cut is these massive stacks that are uncontested for Scourge McDuck. So his Ag's timing should line up with MTD's Ag's timing. He'll have the Viscous Nasal Goo going out in AoE, along with Normal Punch lining up together. I'm just not sure how you execute this on the side of the cut. Like, there's some quirky combos you can do for sure. Once you can tie into your Spirit Breaker, Iron Shell charge out with Surge could feel pretty good. And you just, melt heroes down, I suppose, at that point. You can just get some good damage off with the Spirit Breaker surged up. So there are some plays. It's just a little bit harder to find those kind of angles. Whereas for Wildcard, it's much more straightforward. You have Roar that you can rely on. You know RCY can dance around in this game with a lack of hard control from the side of the cut. And you've got the Terrorblade that doesn't have any threat yet. Like, there's no one to instantly jump the Terrorblade, no instant control for TB. Sure, it's Terrorblade into Elder Titan, but Empyrean doesn't even have natural order up. So you're always going to be a little bit more durable here on Sammy Boyd, and you'd like him to be on the cut. And for the cut, it's just going to take a lot of time here. Maybe 5 to 7 minutes for them to really start to feel like they have presence in this game. And that's more than enough time for Wildcard to take off these tier 1s.
There you go. PC crash was the call from Ade. Obviously, he's going to reconnect and see himself dead. Not much you can do about it. Wildcard did apologize. See, not purposely taking the kill. Had they known the DC had happened. A lot of stacks here being taken by a Bristleback. Scourge McDuck obviously able to clear this out very quickly with the Bristle. No problems here for him. Thankfully, they will not be stolen away from Wildcard as they never scatter these out. Pressure onto the mid T1 tower again here from Wildcard. So just all T1s somewhat under siege here from the dire end of things. It's going to be a charge out on RCY, but it's pretty easy to juke out the charge with the Ember. Sleight of Fist will do the trick, but the Nether Strike, not going to land either. He will just rim it away. Obviously, the Spirit heroes are the harder heroes to hit with the charge and all the spells from the Spirit Breaker. Apart from Earth Spirit, John, in case you're about to ask, because, you know, he doesn't have all these crazy invulnerability spells, but are they probably not going to have the easiest time landing these stuns onto RCY is my point.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit harder until that Shadow Blade is up for Ade. Again, you are just playing for time here on the cut. You have to surrender these objectives. Really good pace coming out from Wildcard, or playing to the strengths of your draft. 0 to 8, 4K up. And for the side of the cut, I mean, if this investment into these items don't pay off, then their draft really has no openings. Okay, they needed to crush lanes a lot harder. That didn't happen outside of Scourge McDuck in his lane.
Monster.
That's one positive there.
Monster is caught. Ade, he's got another strike, but Rory is going to be committed. Ade did get the bulldoze off in time, so it didn't last too long, so he's still running. Wall will be dropped here by MTD, but it's not really the greatest wall at all. Blocks one way, but blocks the wrong way. Zade gets taken down. B-God will be the second here to RCY, who doesn't even look at him. Onto MTD he goes, takes out his courier. So 2 down for the cut, and I've got to say, like, as much as I love the uniqueness of this draft, it is not working out so far.
It just needs time. You don't have the items to really play yet. No Ags up for your Darkseer, no Ags up for Scourge McDuck, no Shadow Blade for Ade, no Solar Crest yet for B-God. Like, this is a greedy draft from the cut in terms of trying to hit your mid-game time. You need bigger items in comparison to Wildcard, who are just running around with the Phase Boot Orb Corrosion for RCY. You've got your Solar Crest up for Sunlight, so he gets a better timing than B-God right now. And, you know, you're playing around with the split push. You've got the Dominator ready on Monster. You've got the Eidolons, the Boar Spam can come through. Objectives are just not safe. On the side of the cut, they just don't have counterplay until these items are up.
That they certainly do not, John. 0 to 10 so far. Yet to pick up 1 kill is the cut. Very depressing kind of start here for the Radiant team. Wildcard 7k advantage 14 minutes in. That is massive. A lot of that net worth advantage being on Sammy as well. So you've got the right hero with the right gold. Gonna have his match style up very, very soon. And that'll allow him to go right into the Skadi that he's going to be looking for against the Bristleback. Obviously, the cuts still have their own timings to hit, and the Ags are going to be up very soon for both these core heroes, being the Bristle and the Darkseer. Very soon indeed. But they are going to have to make quick work of actually using these items and making some impact happen, because with the way things are looking right now, if they lose a couple more team fights, this game could be as good as done. You know, you still do have a Bristleback carry at the end of the day. I'm not sure how much I believe in this hero as a carry. Rotations coming up top here from Wildcard. Sunlight and RCY both moving their way up very slowly. Flea is there to defend against the creep wave, so the T1 tower is not going to go down too easily. I mean, they are playing a very passive game. One more item here for Skirt to have the Ags up. Just needs the Blade of Alacrity. MTD already has his available. But even with the Ags, he might need the Blink first to really initiate properly. Chains out from RCY. Gonna be on to Scourge McDuck. The Scourge is happy to fight. RCY forced to remnant away. The Wildcard look like they want to fight too. They'll get the roar out onto the Bristleback. Midnight Pulse and Black Hole, but no! Oh, it's been cancelled! Empyrean saving the day. Sunlight, he's going to be the one to go down. Meanwhile, Sammy, he's going to find B-God in the back. A great blast off from Flea. Landing on 2. They will find Monster, but Sammy's the real monster. They cannot deal with him at the moment. They've got to get out of there. Not the worst team fight, though. They still get a 2 for 2.
2 for 2, and you find a core in exchange for 2 supports here for the side of the cut. So that does reel back at least 1k in that net worth lead of Wildcard. You are seeing more play come out from MTD. With that punch out, he has a lot of presence. He is going for the blink next now on the Darkseer. And that was Scridge McDuck taking that fight without the full Ags. So not even the AoE Viscous Nasal Goo coming out yet, with a minus armor and slows. Really good stomp out from Empyrean to stop the black hole as it was coming through from Sunlight. A bit surprised he decided to go for that play. And without that black hole, it does provide a little bit of leeway here for the side of Cut, knowing that they don't need to worry about the Enigma too much in punishing them. Shadowblade up as well for Ade. If you have tools now to start finding these pickoffs, what we need to see from the Cut is constant aggression now. You know, you don't want to sit back and farm too much. You do have a good point that you raised there a while ago, Mike. This is still tempo from the Cut, and their timings are mid and early late game. You don't want to drag it out too far. You want to keep Sammy Boy under control. You want to be able to find that Terrorblade before the Scotty's up, which is easier said than done. Sammy's been pretty damn good with his positioning and pretty damn good with his tempo as well, like his decision to join these fights and when to go back for farm. You're also dealing with Beastmaster and the Hawk Vision. There's a lot of scouting being done by Wildcard. And that does just enable the aggression for RCY to constantly run down the lane. He knows where you are. He knows he can bail out. You don't have the best control still for the Ember, and that's going to be a consistent problem for the Cut. How do you pin down RCY, even as this game scales on? Unless you get something like the Sight of Vice up, doesn't feel like you'll ever have a smooth way to keep that Ember down.
Mid lane, RCY is playing so aggressively by the tier 2 tower. Yeah, at the very least, win probability is not too bad for the Cut yet. They're at 39%. It feels like it could have been worse, considering the 7k advantage the Wildcard have held for such a long time. It has remained around that area for quite a while now. Here's your blink up on MTD, so that might be Q to go. On the courier. The Scourge is going to go right into the Heaven's Halberd on the Bristleback, which is obviously going to be very, very strong against the Terrorblade. And speaking of that Terrorblade, though, Sammy's going to have the Skadi up pretty soon himself, which is the big timing for him.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
He'll group up with his team and go for a 4-man smoke. They'll head west. They'll see Scourge. That's the big target. Pos one Bristleback. Has no idea they're coming. Now he will. Roar is there already. He needs help ASAP. Is it going to come in time? The wall's been dropped. Scourge, he is still alive. Sammy's the one in trouble.
Oh my god.
Oh no. And now the black hole comes out, trying to stop this onslaught. They've at least got Empyrean, but Monster's down. Sammy's down. Everyone's just going down. Flea's still running as B-God chases him up. RCY going to try and save me while MTD will go after Sunlight. Sunlight will drop on the Enigma. B-God is gone to boot. Absolute chaos in the top lane. Who won the team fight, John? I think it must have been the Cut.
It is the Cut by a wide margin. Even though they lose out, again, they're 2 supports in their off lane here. They survive in the 2 years that need to survive. Scourge McDuck gets a lot of gold off of that, and so does MTD. And we are seeing the effect of that normal punch. Like the Terrorblade illusion. Wildcard has no way themselves of dealing with a Terrorblade-like hero here. So the illusions coming out from MTD is just so damn impactful. Like there is a lot of damage coming out, especially with that level 10 talent, giving you that plus 20% damage on the illusions. And as Sammy farms, the more dangerous the Darkseer gets here. So it's an interesting sort of foil to that Terrorblade scaling. And you've just got the utility on hand. Again, you were just waiting for this timing. You just needed Ade to have a way of jumping into Shadowblade without being interrupted. And you kind of hit that point. The black hole, again, it's pretty decent this time from Sunlight. Took a while for MTD to get the vacuum ready. So he did get a good channel off. But again, it's just not enough to melt through these heroes now. And the side of the Cut, I mean, Scourge McDuck is just not dying without break. it might actually be a good game for Sammy to consider something like the Silver Edge after the Scotty BKB. And just to simplify this process on chasing down Scourge McDuck, maybe something like a Shiva's Guard coming out somewhere else would be nice as well. Otherwise, this bristle is just going to be a problem. Like, Halbert's already done with a recipe ready. And once you have the halberd, and you only have one target you want to disarm here, it's always going to be Sammy. And he is a lot of the DPS right now in Wildcard, considering all of that farm investment onto him. So, the halberd on Scourge, the halberd on Ade. I'm just having 2 disarms on hand. Having the Terrorblade have to deal with illusion spam, it's not going to be the smoothest of times for Sammy as this game goes on. It still is a much more favorable Terrorblade game for sure, but it's not a straightforward one, Mike. You kind of have to dance around here.
Yeah, you certainly do. Things are getting very interesting. So a 4K advantage, Wildcard dropping the ball just a little bit at that top lane. And obviously, for both sides, this game 1 win would be extremely important, trying to get that big lead going into game 2. This is for a slot in Division 1. The winner is going to make their way through to Div 1 next year. Loser will have to play in tiebreakers for the secondary slot. So we are still having some issues on the side of Wildcard, so we're going to let Sunlight have some time to sort out his lag issues here. Appreciate how fast the cut rotated once they saw Scourge getting jumped top lane, understanding that he could last a little bit longer than you'd first anticipate. It was big turnaround from Empyrean to just counter-initiate with the Earth Splitter. Wildcard. They've got to be so cautious now. Like, this is a big spike for the cut with the Ags up on both their cores. Even though Heaven's Halberd going to be coming up soon on Scourge McDuck, which is going to make life that much more challenging. At least for Sammy. Oh, even an Orca being built up on MTD. That's going to be interesting. See how that one pans out. Here we go. The resume is there.
Yeah. It's the Echo Saber into Orchid, I'm assuming, here as well. For good old MTD.
Oh, so he's doing it.
So he is actually doing it. He's not going for the harpoon, mind you. So maybe a little bit disappointed in that one. I'm not yet. I'd love to see it. Just harpoon and a normal punch. That sounds really funny.
To be fair, it might be kind of productive when you consider normal punch counts your distance that you move,
but
not the enemy.
You blink up anyway. You blink in anyway. Blink in and harpoon, it gives you greater reach if you think about it. Right?
I guess so. Well, I suppose so. We'll see. See if MTD wants to go down that route. I'm sure he will eventually upgrade the Echo Saber. Wildcard, looks like they're setting up for perhaps a Roshan attempt. They'll just start mining the area around the bottom lane, just around the Twin Gate. Rotations coming from the cut, though. They've smoked up as 4. This is without Scourge, but they'll rush into Sunlight. Charges out already on the Enigma. An easy kill to take. Sunlight is just going to drop. No real contest. Monster even committed the Roar on Ade to try and make sure the Enigma survived, but it just did not happen. Ade had the Bulldoze anyway. Chains out though, RCY. Gonna find a great trade for his team. He's got the Spirit Breaker down. That's a pos 3 for position 5 so far in the favor of Wildcard. Cut. I'm not sure if they want to fight without their Spirit Breaker. Just so much disable now. Missing from this next engagement. Scourge McDuck as well. He's quite low on mana. RCY gonna keep just charging at them, forcing them away from this Roshan pit.
Dire's top tower.
But you do have B-God still hanging around the area. On that Clinks, he is just scouting out for his team, trying to give as much vision as possible. Roshan will get started. It is not safe for Wildcard though. Like, Ade's up in 5. They do have Black Hole back up on Sunlight. He's got the blink as well. Smoke out again from Wildcard, moving in onto MTD, the bot lane. But he's currently smoked up, but it is going to break. They see him. Remnants from RCY trying to close the gap. Sunlight's in. Black Hole committed. They want MTD down and they've got him. MTD is gone. Onto Empyrean now. Empyrean, learning he cannot force stuff off the map, will also go down. That's 2 gone now for the cut. And Wildcard, they can happily move into the Roshan pit freely.
That's the kill you want. MTD being taken out on solo Black Hole. while the cut is pretty split apart, so you couldn't manage to get the cancel. Should be a very fast Roshan here coming out for the cut, no problems at all in clearing out this objective. And Wildcard should be able to just run down and start to clear out these tier 2s, start to pressure high ground. In the cut, they still have this vac wall to fall back to. And the Echo Saber is up on MTD. There's a nice double hit with a normal punch that can come out, but they have to watch themselves. Age is up on RCY. This is a hero that you really can't manage right now. And we've talked about it. This is a pretty free Ember game outside of laning phase for RCY, just because there's no hard lockdown for the Ember. So even if you kill him the one time, I don't know if you can hold him 2 times. Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go again, RCY.
All right.
He's just gone, okay. Alrighty. Wall down, Stomp is there, normal punch, RCY, what are you doing?
What? He had no remnants out?
No, apparently not, John.
That's right after I say that you can't pin down the Ember. All right, thank you, Cut. Thank you, Imperial.
You're welcome.
For proving me wrong.
Payment sent, John. Payment has been sent.
VT faded in.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Oh, well, there you go. RCY finding out the hard way that he is able to die, and that was actually a 1.5k gold exchange. Like, make that 1.6k. That's, these are the kills you can't afford to give away in a game like this.
You have to watch yourself. Like, once that Orchid is up, it's going to be a simpler process as well to keep RCY pinned down. And again, you're not out of scaling here just yet inside of the cut. You've got the double halberds up. You've got a way of dealing with Sammy Boy. So you can ensure that the Terrorblade's just not going to be twacking away at you. The Terrorblade illusions, again, feel really good when MTD manages to get the punch and wall down. So you are getting a lot out from the side of the cut in some of these engagements. Wildcard with the Aegis loss. And they're not in a bad position yet. They still maintain a 4k lead, but it is reeling towards the cut once more. You're giving openings for the cut, and win probabilities on their side now as well, like 61% for the cut in comparison to Wildcard. So again, I don't think it's that dire of a game just yet for Wildcard, but they need to be a bit cautious. This is an even matchup. You can't afford to slip up and give opportunities out.
You certainly cannot, Jonathan. You certainly cannot.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Bottom tier 2 tower now, going to be under siege. Wildcard just slowly chipping away with the Eidolons for now. Top tier 2 also being forced in here by the cut.
Fortified. Radiant's
That Orchid is now available for MTD.
Radiant's
On the way, on the courier. It's like Sammy's going to start working towards the silver edge. Have that break in built. Gets to stand Bristleback. Just try and burst Scourge McDuck down every single time. They are slowly moving their way up towards the top lane here, Wildcard, but I don't think they're going to be there in time to really defend the top tier 2. I say that though, TP's now incoming. Egod may get caught with his pants down, but no. He does get the tar bomb first. Sammy's still going to go for the chase, but can't see him through the invis. So Begod going to be able to TP out just fine. They're even trying to scan, having a look for him, but they will not find him any longer. 7 to 18 now. It's been a bit of a slower game. I suppose with these drafts, they do both just want to farm. What's the next item for this mid-dark sea, John? What do we think?
I don't know. It's either the Harpoon or the full Blood Torn Out, perhaps the Shiva's Guard. I wouldn't mind that too much, or a Lotus Orb, really. Just something defensive for MTD. Can kind of help the cause here. Either one. He's leaving his queue open. MTD, he loves to surprise us while we're casting. Like, he doesn't queue up what he's going for next.
That's true. You're getting to the annoying stage of the game now where it's a slow game, so Flea's just using all his time to just start placing the proximity mines around the map. And that's when things can start to get scary, because you start to question where you can walk as a support on the map, because things just end up blowing up all around you. And you can see that dire triangle area. There's already a bunch of mines being placed just at the stairwells. More time he has, the more mines that are going to be sitting on the map, making it harder and harder for you to approach anyone. I'm not sure if they mind too much, considering they do have a Bristleback that can just run through all these mines, but Say, for example, the Bristle, the Spirit Breaker. If you're charging through the map and you just charge through 10 mines and die, that's not going to feel the best for Ade. So we did see the wall dropped here onto an illusion. So wall is going to be down from MTD's end. Not the biggest deal, but Wildcard might try to force a fight knowing that spell is not available. Jump in, bottom lane, Black Hole committed immediately. Sunlight, no hesitation, just wants the kill on Ade, but they can't find it. They don't have the damage. Ade is fine, Sunlight the one to go down. It is still a position 3 Spirit Breaker. He's not the easiest target with 2.7k HP. However, even with the Heaven's Halberd up, he was able to get quite a few misses on the hits of the Beastmaster, so the damage just was not there. Wildcard losing a couple and losing their Black Hole.
It's a nice little opening for the side of the cut. Get to stall out the game a little bit longer, prevent a push onto their high ground, and start building up. You're going into the Mage Slayer here for MTD, into that full Bloodtorn. So it's going to feel pretty good to get that control out onto RCY. RCY for his part. No defensive items up yet. Very close at full Lincolns at the very least. You have some play coming out and... Cut. They are just deciding push up top. Getting a little bit of a shove in. They're equalizing this game quite nicely. And they don't really have a lead here, but they're not too far behind. Their only real hurting point is Ade's farm. I think that's what's leading to this 4k lead for Wildcard at the moment. But beyond that, you're in a pretty strong position to still take a lot of these engagements. You have a double damage rune here as well. I'm sure they'll be happy to hand over to Scourge McDuck, although we'll give it to B-God instead, perhaps for his little hunt in the jungle. Wildcard, well, they're all back up now. They are grouping up for a smoke. We do have that ready at the very least.
Wildcard going to run down as 4. Ag's up now on Ade. This could be pretty poor timing for Wildcard. I'm going to run into Empyrean. Empyrean going to break the smoke of Sammy, but he does have the Shadow Blade, so he just runs right into the Elder Titan. Glimmer Cape is up, though. Empyrean for now running, but the Sentry Ward placement from Sunlight is going to allow them to get the kill. Bloodthorn now up on MTD for this next fight. Though I don't know if they really want to fight with their Elder Titan down. The answer is probably no. They will lose the tier 2 mid tower, but they are going for a third now. Wildcard not looking to slow down, move onto the high ground. Wall will be dropped from MTD, looking for a vacuum back. Does get RCY and flee. Not quite finding Sammy, however. Sammy happily taking the T3 tower for free so far. Ade threatening with the charge, though, is going to be enough for them to back off, but they got the tier 3. I think that was more than they actually expected to get. And they do manage it all before Empyrean does respawn, so a very free kind of couple of objectives here for Wildcard, and they just happily back out.
Cut though, looking for that opening back in. Not spotted out by the Hawk in that smoke, so they should be able to get a good jump, but the full retreat was there from Wildcard, all the way across the river now. Let's see if the Cut manages to find anything. No wall, not the longest cooldown, gonna be off soon. Can't start going, but there goes the mines.
Yeah.
There goes the fact that you can't smoke out.
It's one that this position of the map is just so much safer for Wildcard now, knowing that the mines will give them all the information about any smoke rotations incoming. And that might be a change that we might need to see with this Techies hero, right? Like, this part of Techies just seems too powerful. The fact that the mines just tell you when somebody's coming. Like, perhaps if you smoke, the mines shouldn't be able to detect you.
Yeah, but at the same time, I suppose they are mines. And that is how mines work. So it's also consistent for them to work that way. Still, the Cut just take a mid tier 2 onto the high ground Dago. Scourge McDuck has enough damage to try to trade out the tier 3s here.
Yeah, tier 3 tower under siege. Sunlight's going to blink in. Won't get anything off though. Just breaks the Lincolns of Scourge McDuck. Scourge now has the full AC up. He's a very tanky bristleback. Almost 4k HP pool as well. Waiting in the tree line. Are's going to charge in again, wanting the Enigma. Sunlight though, nice blink away. Are in the middle of nowhere. He's going to have the backup of the Bristleback, and now the wall going to get just dropped here on the Enigma. They really wanted Sunlight down, but the buyback is out. He'll be back into the fight. Wildcard still looking to try and make this one work. Chains out here onto Are, so Are does get caught with no way out of this. He will drop, and so does Beagle. So yes, you force the buyback from Sunlight, but you do drop 2 for that. And Are looks like he may have made an error there. He doesn't seem too happy with himself.
Yeah, I think if you just traded the support, if B-God died and you forced the buyback, you'd be pretty happy. Losing the Spirit Breaker does offset that quite a fair bit. So it does give Wildcard a little bit more to play with. They've got Roshan to fall back into here. Is back and running down bot. Sammy already getting to work on that early on, though they might hunt for more kills.
They're trying. Bottom lane. Empyrean. Chains out. He got the Glimmer off again. No detection around this time. A great stomp as well, catching out too. But nobody there to really back up the cut yet. They are slowly making their way over. It is too late. Wildcard. They're not going through the twin gates. The Roshan is here right now at the bottom side. They'll hang out up top. Wait for Roshan to make his way over, I suppose. Scourge, he's gonna just perhaps move into the Roshan pit though.
Only has a few seconds until Roche starts to change his mind and go up top. And he should now. There you go.
How do you get there though as the cut? Like, you've got to get there ASAP. Wildcard are waiting just casually for Roshan to make his way over. There you go. They'll get it started. Only Ade TP's up towards the top lane. Here comes Empyrean to boot. Roshan happening way too fast, however. And it's just gone. There's no fight to be had here for the cut.
Give out the cheese and Aegis towards Wildcard once more. RCY, as long as he doesn't die, this should be a big Aegis. And last time we saw him without Aegis, he did just instantly die. And with Lincoln's up, it should be a lot harder for the side of Cut to kind of find that opening. So they should start to feel a lot more safe here on the side of Wildcard. Very even map state, all things considered. My 2k lead coming out for Wildcard. The Cut managing to find a tier 3. Wildcard also finding that same mid-tier 3. So you are having a lot of play. The one issue for Wildcard is going into high ground. Like if Sunlight's not there and everyone's up on the Cut, and the big vac wall just ruins everything for the side of Wildcard. Again, these Terrorblade illusions that can come out are going to be pretty devastating with all the damage you will get here for MTD. Even working onto the refresh now on that Darkseer with a full Harpoon up. So he did go for the Harpoon, just padding out those stats, doing 246 damage per right click on the Darkseer.
Beautiful. You'd love to see it. Refresher Orbs be up next year for MTD.
That's more damage than you have on your Terrorblade without the ads. 256 now for MTD.
Oh, what is this? Charge down bottom. Looks like they have found Flea with that charge. The techies was under vision for a moment underneath an observer ward. Easy kill for the Cut. Back mid lane, Scourge. Scourge just had another team fight. Getting the goo out. Sammy, he got into the Invis to get away. Sunlight, however, is not going to be so lucky. That was a dieback on the Enigma. It's a full V3 scenario in the favor of the Cut. They're making their way in. Sammy's popped the BKB. Artie's getting low. Looks like he's in big trouble. Scourge still going though, stacking up the goo, but the Sunder is there to make half his HP disappear. Has he gone too far? I think he may have. Sammy just annihilating the Bristleback as Monster kited him out. Meanwhile, RCY, he does lose the Aegis, but he's going for more. He needs some help though, and in they come. Sammy's there. Arde's the target. They'll charge down RCY, but a nice remnant dodge not going to allow the stun to come out. He's still caught. RCY is gone, but they're getting wiped by Sammy. Arde trying to charge out. He's going to be okay by the looks of it. But somehow Wildcard, 3v5, make that team fight work. And it might have been off the back of Scourge splitting up from the team, just thinking he could deal with the Terrorblade Beastmaster himself.
Radiant structures
But he literally just got annihilated by Sammy.
Yeah, that was not the position you wanted to see there. If they clumped up a little bit better, played around this wall, dropped by MTD, it might have ended up a lot better. Fortunately, not the way it goes. Wildcard kiting out the bristle. You find us opening out onto the high ground. And Sammy's more than secure here. They still have cheese as well for Monster ready to go.
Ade trying his best to push out the creep wave. Buyback is there from MTD, but he's not going to be too happy to expend this. Immediate retreat, though they do get the harpoon usage onto Sammy, but he's got the BKB Sunder, and now the black hole! Sunlight! Oh, Sunlight found 3! Oh, that's GG. It's got to be it. That has got to be it for this game 1. Sunlight will get the tip. Wildcard still backing off. The buybacks are coming in from the cut. Surely without MTD and Ade, surely you just keep going.
Yeah, this is not a fight anymore. Not a game anymore for the cut with these two heroes down for a minute 20. At max, a minute 10. Instead of Wildcard, nothing to be worried about. Great black hole from Sunlight to cut off MTD, trying to get greedy there, chasing down the Terrorblade. They can try to stall, and they will try at the very least. Sammy?
Oh, Jesus.
Jeez.
Where did that
What?
damage come from?
Just the stacks. The nasal
Jeez.
group probably just stacked up. Right clicks there from B-God with a Solar Crest.
Never mind, apparently it's not that easy. Sammy knew, I didn't apparently, is RCY, my god. That is a lot of damage from Scourge. Empyrean though, he is gone. That's a dieback. Scourge now in trouble as well, being just broken up by
All right,
Sammy.
that should be it.
Will die back, and there you go. It's over. GG's call. Game 1 does go the way of Wildcard. Sammy ending 15-1 and 6. And I appreciate the drafting here from the cut. I appreciate them trying to do something a little bit cheeky, John. Sadly for them, it does not work out in their favor. Wildcard proving to be the better team here in game 1. You know, the Terrorblade, he kind of just went uncontested throughout this game.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. I think not having a great way of counteracting Sammy Boy made that game a lot harder. You were basically depending on MTD to get some good illusions off from the Terrorblade, but it's not really a way of keeping that Terrorblade down. And your lanes, I think, here from the cut just didn't feel amazing. I think that's the one thing that really needed to come out with this kind of draft, especially for MTD. He had a good, decent start, but RCY was drawing even, so you didn't really have an advantage at all for the Darkseer in terms of levels or initial farm. And that just slowed down their game. And Ade had an awful time with B-God up top. Sunlight was doing a great job of just running down that Spirit Breaker Clinks. And the impact was there. I think it all came down to Sunlight enabling that lane for Sammy Boy, giving this free start for the Terrorblade, and drawing even at best elsewhere. Like Scourge McDuck was free farming, but at some point as well, you could just leave the Beastmaster to farm, so it was just very even farm across. Mid was even, and top lane was just stomped. I think for the cut, I don't think the idea with the Darkseer was wrong, but it feels like the offlane Spirit Breaker in this case didn't actually do too much. Like Ade just had a rough game overall.
I certainly did. Ade just didn't really... Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to this offlane Spirit Breaker, but it did not feel great. The cut kind of just almost playing 4v5 in a sense, as we saw some fantastic black holes from Sunlight, really turning some big team fights around. See, there's one there that you just saw. That looked like a guaranteed win for the cut in that team fight, but Sunlight with the clutch black hole does make it so it ends up being a bit more of an even engagement here between the two. So I believe the cut did still end up with the better gold lead from that, but nevertheless, here we go. The final team fight we're looking at. This was off the back of a Sunlight black hole again. This time, with the silver edge up on Sammy, and that break available, the Bristleback could not survive the damage output. So the wildcard side able to take game number 1 here against the cut. Now 1 game away from qualifying back up to Division 1. A real fantastic performance as a unit as we do look at the scoreboard. MVP goes towards Sammy Boy, 15-1 and 6 on the TB, completely uncontested. Just did his job, John. And you were kind of pointing this out earlier. You wanted to see him get it with his team. You wanted to see him take objectives with his team. That's exactly what he did. You know, he got to the top tier 1, got to the bottom tier 1. Hell, sometimes we even throw him in the mid tier 1. but he was being quite impactful, even as a position 1 Terrorblade. And that's why he deserves an MVP.
Yeah, just active early on, knowing the strengths of his lineup in terms of taking objectives, just joins in, and ensures there's no space for the cut to play that mid game. Like their timings on the Ags were stalled out, the double halberd was stalled out, Ade's itemization, his Shadow Blade was really late, all things considered, as an offlaner. So he did all off the back of just taking off the map here from Sammy Boy. So they connect well as a team. Sammy showing again why he is a pretty good carry overall. You know, he had a stint as a support, but he's back in his comfort for some time now. And it's good to see Wildcard playing a much tighter game 1. Who knows what happens in a game 2, Mike, as we've seen Wildcard drop the ball in some of those game 2s.
And we certainly have, Jonathan. That game 2 is usually where things go wrong for this team. So let's head off to a short break. And right after that break, we'll be back with game 2 between the cut and, of course, Wildcard. We'll see you soon. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are going into our game 2 between the cut and wildcard to decide who is going to be the first team to make it through to Division 1 NA next year. It is MLP Dota and John X5. Jonathan, as you can see, we do have a draft live on hand. The cut once again, first picking Spirit Breaker, wildcard going into the Techies, and now the Tide.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from wildcard. I think this duo of Techies plus Tidehunter can be really hard to go into. Just Gush alone with Techies right click is already pretty nasty, but it does make it so that a lot of these Scourge McDuck melee heroes are not going to feel good in that lane. You're going to have to look for a range core to probably feel comfy here for the cut. The cut, I'm a little bit surprised to go into the Spirit Breaker. Ade felt like he didn't have a game at all. Like he had very little impact in Spirit Breaker. We saw a couple of good charges coming down the line, but his early to mid game was pretty rough to say the least. And I think that's where a lot of the issues for the cut came out from. Just the slower lane for Ade led to a slower game overall and a very fast game for Sammy Boy. So I want to see how the cut adjusts. I think maybe just run that on support for B-God, but who knows? Who knows what's on the mind of the cut? It did feel like the cut did manage to still find themselves some openings there. In that last game, they took it to a tree. We saw moments where they were strong. They do go for the Terrorblade instantly to go into that lane of Techies and the Tidehunter just to ensure that you're not going to have a rough time for Scourge McDuck. A rather early pick on Terrorblade, but knowing your lane matchup, you kind of just want to get that out of the way before it's banned out. So now you can ban in favor of your Terrorblade, Naga taken out, maybe more illusions to come out, like stuff like PL. Something like the Morphling should be taken out as well. So you should have those options bannable here for the cut.
See what they do want. Yeah, Morphling is kind of the interesting one because we see teams pick TB against the Morph most of the time, but can still work the other way. You just never know. I think it was yesterday we saw the mid Morphling come out from RRL, if I'm not mistaken in saying, and that actually looked really damn good with the phylactery build up. That was really cool to watch. So you never know how they could switch things up as the cut. I mean, they have the opportunity to ban out Morphling right now if they so wish. Shall see if that's where they want to go with this. You see the win rate of TB, 45.4%, not the highest that we've ever seen, but the hero has looked pretty damn good. I mean, we just saw it last game in particular looking fantastic for Sammy. Mind you, I think Sammy may have had a draft that couldn't really deal with it as well as they would have hoped. The cut were focused very in on trying to, make this TB's life a living hell, but it just did not pan out that way. There's the morph ban you spoke about now as wild card. Final ban out for them. We are the players now, Jonathan. By the way, could you
Yes.
advise me what you're intending to draft here on the side of? I'll be the cut. You be wild card. What are you drafting?
10 seconds remaining.
Give me a hit.
PL's on hand if you want to go that route. Still a couple of supports that can work out. Pugna surprisingly left in the pool for both sides, along with Clinks. Wouldn't mind that for either side. Could go for that if wildcard don't ban one of those out. They are focusing in on bigger team fight, like say the Disruptor, the Rubik, which has a pretty good game with Techies and Tidehunter here. So you can kind of go into that route. Pugna pickup for wildcard means something like the RCY Storm Spirits on hand, which honestly doesn't look too bad here. Your hold from the cut isn't that amazing. They will ban out Silencer, so chances are Spirit Brother down mid here for wildcard. Would not mind something like... I would not mind just picking the Pugna and then saving the Storm for the last. Like, I think that works out pretty well if you want to go that route. It's magical damage that can jump onto the Terrorblade, make it uncomfy, and you can dodge out the Spirit Breaker charge fairly well. You have a pretty good time overall. I don't think there's a lot of mid matchups either that the Storm Spirit hates all too much, so wouldn't mind that. We shall see. Again, just a bit surprising that Pugna's kind of left in the pool. Pugna and Undying, actually. But them still available.
They are. Wildcard. We'll see if they want to take any of those heroes. Have to think about this this third pickup for themselves.
Radiant team.
So it's interesting as well, right? Because the first game, the Cut won the coin toss. They went for the Radiant. And of course, Wildcard chose first pick. And this time around,
Radiant team.
saw Wildcard win the coin toss, but they chose second pick. And the Cut still went the Radiant. So seems like Wildcard all along just wants second pick as they do go for the edge. The Cut going back into the Clinks, which I must admit, John, didn't look amazing last game. We have seen B-God perform very well on this hero in particular, but
10 seconds remaining.
it seems like it's going to be a similar laning stage that might probably end up going for the position 3 Spirit Breaker and pos 4 Clinks. Of course, they could switch it up to a position 5 Clinks and a pos 4 Spirit Breaker, but I can't really remember seeing too much Empyrean pos 5 Clinks coming out here from the Cut. They do go the Undying, so it should be the same off lane that the Cut want to run. I do like the Undying though with the TB. I think it works very well into the Techies and the Tide. Mind you, I think Techies is one hero that the Undying doesn't necessarily enjoy going against. Just based off the amount of range you have as the Techies, you don't tend to get decayed very easily. So the double decay is not usually too much of a threat against the Techies. And as well as that, you know, you might not have the greatest ways of dealing with Tombstone with this hero, but at least laning stage wise, it still shouldn't be the worst for Wildcard in that offlane.
Yeah, it's not going to be too bad. We've got the Ench down line as well for the wider team fight, so both of these heroes can kind of deal with Tombstone to an extent. On Wildcard's end, they will go into the puck now as well. So just picking up some tempo control for RCY. Very stable mid as well, saving the Sammy Boy hero for last. I feel like leaving Sammy's here to last here allows a lot of bans for the Cut. Like just taking away some ranged cores that the B-God, Clinks and the Ade Spirit Breaker won't be able to deal with. Maybe something like the PL still gets banned out. Maybe stuff like, say, Slark gets banned out here. Don't think you have the best of times against that. PL already taken out by the Cut. Wildcard should be eyeing the mids of MTD. They will take care of the Earthshaker, which again, MTD finally showed it to us after me crying about it in Tour 3's Div 1. Did look fantastic on it, so it's kind of funny you have to waste a ban on that now. Considering you have the puck as well, it's like the matchup theoretically isn't bad, but you just don't want to have to try to deal with it for sure.
Yeah, it's very annoying. Too much lockdown to say the least, and the damage output's just insanity on that core Earthshaker. Cut. Final ban. They get rid of the PL. Just focusing on the Sammy Boy heroes, of course, in that position 1 role. One more to go against the TB. You still have options like the Slark that can do decently against Terrorblade. I say decently, like it's not exactly the carry you think about, but it is able to kite very effectively with the Depth Shroud and the Shadow Dance, and obviously a lot of stats can be taken because it is a tanky hero in the Terrorblade. Doesn't do too badly against the Spirit Breaker Clinks. They're going to get rid of the Jug instead. Lena gets removed here from Wildcard, so not wanting that instantaneous burst that the Lena can kind of pump out. What are you thinking for this pos 1 for Wildcard? Like, against the Terrorblade, is there a hero that kind of pops up in your head that looks good here against the Cut?
10 seconds remaining.
There's a Drow, but Drow's a really dead hero. So I don't know if Wildcard would go for that.
Is Void still there? You do have Void.
This is
but
Void.
I don't... Oh, you know what, John? It doesn't look the best. Never mind that, because it just... I don't think you'd have enough damage against TB.
Dire team pick.
Yeah, I think the control is pretty good,
Ooh.
but probably just doesn't have enough. They go with the Tiny here for the Cut, so a mid-Tiny coming out from MTD. A little bit of a
Wow.
throwback. This year has been really dead. We have not seen much of Tiny at all, but could still have some impact. I think the mid lane matchup versus Puck is pretty decent, not the worst thing in the world for the Tiny to play into. And they will go with the Muerta for Wildcard.
What?
That is one way, right? You use your ultimate, you do magical damage. Terrorblade not going to have that much magic resist. You can melt right through, and I don't think I mind that too much. I think that can kind of work out. The Muerta, of course, has some weird power spikes. You can see Sammy. Yeah, he's so happy. In the dark once more, Sammy Boy goes. And we know he shines his light shines brightest in the darkness, Mike, and he's smiling all about this. I mean, again, the core to core, Muerta versus Terrorblade, it's actually pretty Muerta favorite, I'd argue. You are both transformation heroes to an extent. Metamorphosis for Scourge McDuck, and Sam, you're relying on whatever the hell you call the ultimate of Muerta. I always forget. But once you pop... Pierce the Veil, yeah. You pop Pierce the Veil, you melt Terrorblade. You melt his illusions, you melt him down. You've got this... What's the normal build-up? Maelstrom... Maelstrom Dragonlance, perhaps, and then you go... Like, usually you just go for some, like, a Moon Shard. Maybe a Daedalus or a Shadowblade. Like, you have a lot you can go for, Sammy. And it's not going to be comfy. You have 3 melee cores up against a Muerta. The Calling is going to do a lot. Like not the band, the Calling, but the actual spell used to Calling. The Silence is going to be annoying. And the Slow is going to be annoying. So, I think Wildcard have themselves a pretty good draft for a Muerta game here.
I'm very intrigued to see how this goes. Game number 2 here. If Wildcard can win this one out, they are back to Division 1 NA next year. If they lose, we're going to a Game 3 between these two. I don't know how to feel about these drafts and the way they've ended, John. I mean, I know the Muerta, in theory, is good against Terrorblade, just purely based off the piece, the availability it does have. We have question marks already coming up from Sammy, by the way. So Sammy, feeling a little bit spicy after that Game 1 win. You've got to be careful, Sammy. We've seen this before from you, sir. We've seen what happens when you get cocky. Just be careful. Still, the Muerta, he looked happy about it. He looked very confident. Flea may not, though, because Flea's been caught out bottom lane, slowed up by the Blood Grenade, and is as good as dead. He's gone. But back to my point, the Muerta, in theory, should counter Terrorblade. In theory.
I think it does go beyond theory. I think in practice, it really does. It's not a theoretical. It straight out does win out versus Terrorblade after itemization. Like, it's pretty rough for a Muerta to play from behind. I think that's the one thing. Your Maelstrom timing is pretty big in this hero. Your build up into your crits, your build up into damage is going to be big. Basically, attack speed. If you can get like your MKB Moonshard up pretty fast after your Maelstrom, then you feel really nice. I think that's the one thing you have to watch out for here. And I think the song's Wildcard gets a strong laning start. You will find that.
Ade taking a lot of harassment already, but will be okay to back his way out. No problems. You know, the one thing I do love about this Muerta hero, like this gunslinger ability is ridiculous. Like max level 50% chance of just firing a second shot. The farming pace you have with this hero should be insane, and usually is insane from what I've seen. But I haven't had the pleasure of seeing it come up too much in the pro scene, so I'm intrigued to see how fast Sammy will be.
Yeah, it's again, it's really strong. And the farming pace is good. You tend to go for the Maelstrom build and just clear out camps so fast. You do a lot of damage in the middle of the fights. The weird thing with Muerta is it has some weird hour scaling.
Oh.
Like, I still don't know its timings all too well, as they do run down B-God quite a fair bit. But like its power timings in terms of items and levels are a little bit funky. Like, Pierce the Veil, once you pick it up, feels great, and then you kind of fade out until you reach your level 2 Pierce the Veil with more skill points into the Gunslinger. Then you start to feel amazing. Then you taper off again until you reach like your itemization into Moonshard, into maybe a Mjolnir, into maybe a Shadowblade, and then the hero just feels insane. Like, it's very quirky for Muerta. The one thing you do have here for Sammy is that, again, you're into triple melee cores, technically, with Terrorblade. Maybe theoretically, too. But just that much melee heroes with the calling up, I'm this slow, this damage and the silence, it's going to be massive in impacting these team fights that the cut will want to bring out. Like, if you try to gap close onto a Muerta, it's not going to be easy, even with the charge up on Ade. It's not straightforward, and Sammy should have himself a good time in lane, which we are seeing, and probably just has good time into his Maelstrom timing and going forward from there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a look at the bot lane while we're here, John. Scourge McDuck and Empyrean, they're going to go in on Flea again. That level 2 Tombstone timing, obviously very, very important to try and abuse, and Empyrean and Scourge McDuck certainly do so. Very nice pickup. And you just pop the Metamorphosis, so they might even pressure the bottom tier 1 just a little bit. But why the hell not? They'll go for the creep wave instead. Flea again being targeted by Scourge and Empyrean, but without the Tombstone, it's not going to be anywhere near as effective. And naturally, they were lacking a Blood Grenade on top. So, no kills for them this time.
No kills coming out. Still holding a steady lane. He managed to find B-God once more up top. Sunlight just trading really favorably. He does manage to live on a sliver of HP. You are seeing the power of the techies again in trades. Even the Clinks can't really melt away at that hero until you start get more on minus armor up. Taking a peek at that last lane we haven't really talked about, the mid of Puck versus Tiny. We've seen this lane multiple times before for at least 2 years. It has faded out in recent time, but Tiny still wins out this one. He did get slightly buffed on Avalanche, if I recall right, like lower cooldowns and early levels, so more spamability for MTD. Blink timing is in the key for the Tiny here.
Last off, top lane. They're both stuck in the calling right now. Look, they're not going to have enough to quite clean up here. Are they? And B-God both able to back out of the top lane just fine. Sammy and Sunlight have tried to be as aggressive as possible here at the top. Has worked out at least once onto B-God. Are's not finding the most farm either on the Spirit Breaker in the top lane. Mind you, though, he is still having a much better time than he did in Game 1. Considering Game 1, I think he died 3 times during the laning stage. One of them would have already been done by now, but not the case this game. So at least your Spirit Breaker is not feeding Sammy too much.
Yeah. He's having a little bit more presence out. Adi is at least getting his levels up. Should have some stable time, at least to hit that level 6, level 5 spikes. Start to play around there. You can threaten onto the Muerta. That's the one thing with the Muerta. It is very much a glass cannon. Like, it doesn't have that much HP. It doesn't have that much EHP scaling as well. You should be able to run it down once the level spikes are available. And get a much better start for the cut coming out. 2-1, MTD under a little bit of threat down mid, but not going to be jumped by RCY. He is finding that farm, but has to respect the output of the Puck. With no bottle top-up as well for MTD, it's not going to feel comfy in the mid lane, waiting for that power rune to come up. RCY is going to be able to run down a couple of waves here.
MTD's had a decent time in terms of CS at least. Bottom lane, Monster going to go down in the Tide. Not a great feeling here for Wildcard. See the Tombstone again being abused here by Empyrean and Scourge McDuck with the Metamorphosis. But to help get that done against the Tide Hunter. Happy days here for the cut down in this bottom lane as Scourge is having just a brilliant start. Very kind of opposite situation to what happened last game with the cut, as they were the ones kind of, again, feeding Sammy, as now Flea dropping quite low on the edge. Not going to go down, but it survived from 35 HP. Did have a bunch of one charges though, so was never really in danger. Still 3-1. Slight net worth advantage to wave the wildcard side as mid lane, MTD. Avalanche toss is there, RCY, he will have the ore back up. Does jaunt away in the end. So MTD just threatening him to get away from this creep wave. He'll be able to do so just fine. RCY though, he's going to have the bottle top up here from Flea, so it's not the biggest deal in the world.
Gets a little bit of a reset, and they set up for the 6-minute power runes here as well.
MTD, nice deny from Sunlight. Not going to allow the bottle fill up here for the Tiny. I don't believe B-God actually TP'd in. I believe he did walk down from the top lane, so that's why MTD does not have a full bottle, though he does find 2 bounty runes for his trouble, and even a techie's kill. That's even better.
Yeah. You have to respect that burst still with the Avalanche toss and the Tiny. So a lot of output coming out onto these squishier heroes. And it still finds 1 bounty to refill anyway for MTD, the other one taken up by Sunlight. Then pretty good movements out from the supports, but MTD isn't really punished. Fairly durable now on the Tiny with a grow up. So you can't really get an easy gank attempt onto that Tiny anytime soon. And it's Wildcard that's forced to play a lot slower. Like, the biggest concern is Monster's lane. It's just been dead. He has not had a game at all on the Tide Hunter. He's not able to stop Scourge McDuck's farm. His timings into Meteor Hammer should still line up. So you can still kind of leave this Tide Hunter alone, get a solo push going for yourself, and try to secure some space that way. But this is a runaway start for Scourge McDuck. The Yash is not going to be too slow. And once you're up and running there, we just need to see Scourge McDuck play around the same way we saw Sammy did. They catch Empyrean out.
I see why. Yeah, Empyrean gets caught. The Centaur from Flea was just giving vision the whole time, so it was a very easy chase down here from RCY. He just claimed himself a free kill here in the park. We saw Empyrean trying to rotate for the 7-minute Wisdom Rune timing, but gets caught with his pants down here against Flea. So nice easy pick up here for Wildcard now, 4-2. Going back to top lane, this Murta's having a really damn good time, 43-10 in terms of CS. I kind of wonder, right? In fact, hold that thought, because there is going to be a Twin Gate usage here from Sammy down towards the bot lane. He does have Pierce the Veil available, so he wants to kill him to Scourge. Gush is there from Monster. They've got the Ravage. No hesitation. They'll drop everything onto the TB. They'll secure a very, very important kill. Great rotation here from Sammy. And with the Enchanted Creep and the Tide that they have, they can push into Tier 1 tower quite easily to force the TP rotation in from MTD, but the TP will get cancelled. He just wanted to see them back off. Again, a great rotation here from the Muerta. The mid lane, RCY, getting very low, is going to be okay. Top lane, however, Arde does at least catch Sunlight. So you do get a Techies kill for your trouble. Scourge. On lane again. Gotta be cautious not to get too aggressive. Doesn't really have too much to worry about, though, I suppose, without the Ravage and the Pierce of the Veil. Scourge, he's just going to go up top lane. He's not going to mess around down here at bot. There's no real saving the Tier 1 bottom tower anymore.
Just have to surrender. You're trading up top anyway. Imperium can try to stall out. Tombstone only 20 seconds away, but that might be 20 seconds too much. No one defending up top either. Sunlight just TPing in to kind of try to soak some EXP. And for Wildcard, and you're seeing a little bit of quirky tempo coming out. Sammy Boy realizing when he's strong, but they're sacrificing a lot of cores in that process. Like RCY and Monster just don't have the farm you'd want them to at this point. They are a little bit behind on that puck. They might find Empyrean again, but again, Tombstone's ready.
He's going to try for the TP play out, and oh no, he's not going to make it. RCY. Very close call there, but they do secure the kill on the Undying. I was going to say, John, as well, like, you know, this Muerta hero, I've been complaining about it being, or feeling a bit weaker than it should. Why make it an in hero when we can make it a universal hero, John? Why not? RCY, mid lane, he's going to be okay. Think about it, John. It's a new hero. We just got universal heroes in, and she has been feeling weak, right? Why not have it universal?
Way too much. It's way too much if it was universal. Like, stat pattern on this hero would be insane. Pierce the Veil would be insane. Gunslinger would be insane. I mean, I think the hero's in a pretty decent spot. It's a little bit more niche right now. It's not like a glass cannon carry that you can pick up every single time. But it has some insane spikes still. I don't think it's actually weak right now. It's just very niche. And this is one of the matchups where it does work. So I think it's in a good spot. I don't think you need to touch it. I think it's fine. I don't think it needs to be universal. Because I think overall, universal will take a hit anyway. Probably drop down to 0.6 from 0.7. Should be
very boring
little band-aid picks. No, you can't have it universal. It's too much. Can you imagine, like, right now, the one weakness of Muerta is that she has to build int, right? Like, the best you can hope for is, like, maybe a Scotty. The stat pad a little bit. Scotty Linkins. If you could actually go for more strength items up, I mean, this year is just atrocious. Like, the one weakness is that she has such little HP and armor. But the moment you buff that up, that's no. No.
I don't know why it would make me so happy to see it. I don't know why. It just, I just feel like just make it universal.
All right, I think the reason why you want to see it is because you didn't see this in Dream League 19. It popped out so much there. Like, it was all over the place. It was pretty hit or miss, to be fair. I think people were just picking it just as a flash reaction to it being pretty strong in games where it looks good, not realizing in the games where it looks bad, it's really bad. But it's had its moment. I don't think I want to see this hero go insane.
Okay, I'll give you that. Mid lane. Jump in with the Dream Core. Blast off there as well. Monster has the Ravage. He'll pop it immediately. There's Arde God. Onto B God they go, but they've got to be cautious not to go too far. There is a Tombstone still going. Stacking up. Sunlight's trying to take care of it with Sammy, and they do pick it up. So they do secure Arde. It's like RCY is going to be able to jaunt out, finds himself a nice regen route on top of all that, so a free reset for the puck. The card obviously putting a lot of emphasis on protecting the mid-tier 1 tower, and they will be able to do so with the amount of bodies they did bring in. But the wildcard side, they do get away with a nice pick on the Pos 3 Spirit Breaker. You'll be happy with that.
Yeah. Nice little kill. Empyrean still on the chase for Sunlight here. But not going to be able to keep
really
up.
get the kill.
Yeah, you can just always blast off. No hold from Empyrean. Do have to say, right now Sammy's farming pace is through the roof. Like, he's got the Maelstrom up. He's got a lot of output, so he can just clear out camps. Has to be a bit cautious against the Ancients. Again, see how squishy this here can be in going solo. Not the comfiest times for Sammy Boy. We'll eventually clear out these stacks. Eventually.
Indeed. There's a bit of a smoke here. MTD and B-God going to move as a unit. Monster could be the target they go after, but that is a tide. Like, you should still have enough damage, but I don't think it's a risk you want to take. You'd rather go after an easier one. Flea does get spotted here by B-God, but he is now out of range, so MTD not going to be... Oh, never mind. He'll show himself again. That'll be a free kill. Flea, he's gone. Not much he can do up against the Avalanche Toss combo.
That's what we need to keep seeing coming out here from the cut. Just a hit and run with this ambush that you can get out with a blink on Tiny and B-God sneaking around. And we'll start to group up mid once more. Not quite looking for the full push, but start to apply that pressure. Wildcard is still getting a ton of space out for Sammy. You could argue, though, it's Scourge McDuck getting equally as much space on the Terrorblade, but again, I don't think that's a core-to-core matchup you really want to test. Because Muerta will just probably win out with her output. Still clumping up mid again with a charge.
They found the puck already. He's going to be able to just kind of get away, though. RCY jaunting, trying to, at least the bash was there, but no, he's fine. Now, Ade, the one in danger. They'll break the coil with the dead shot. Monster getting the Ravage again. It's a bit of deja vu here in the mid lane. Empyrean trying to back off. He'll move back in on Monster. Meanwhile, MTD, he found the puck. They've got RCY down. But MTD, can he get himself out of here? Seems like he can. No, never mind. Dead shot from Sammy. Gonna cancel the TP off. But it won't matter too much. He walks his way out. Instead, B-God is going to be the sacrificial lamb for his team. Just run in to kind of give his body up here to Wildcard. So a 2-for-1 trade, but it's a position 3 and 4 at the cost of a position 2. Not the worst scenario, but certainly Wildcard still coming out on top.
Yeah, they find the kills they want, and RCY falling behind is a little bit rough. Oh.
Avalanche Toss doing nowhere near enough against Monster. Oh, now even the Tiny in pretty big danger. He's going to be okay to walk his way out. Thankfully, they did not have the gush to keep going with all the slows. I do like this little cheeky combo as well from Wildcard, might I add, John. The Dream Coil into the Dead Shot, just forcing them out of the coil. It does feel quite nice, especially if you time it perfectly to really maximize the duration of the disables. Stop playing Ade. They do attempt to go for a jump, but Ade does get the Shadow Blade away. They do have vision in that dire jungle to kind of scout out these rotations from Wildcard. We do see a lot of pressure still being applied mid lane. Monster is trying with the Meteor Hammer to just slowly continue chipping away at that tier 1. And it is working. They are not able to punish the Tide yet.
Once that falls, map opens up in a big way here for the side of Wildcard. And they can start to look to pressure Scourge McDuck if they start to find him. And Scourge, he's still having that ride into the Scotty. Yasha Dragonlance up and running. MTD?
TD?
Just tosses
No, he'll cancel the Meteor Hammer. Thought he might have wanted the toss back, but wasn't quite the case. So they just kind of accept the fact that he's not going to die anytime soon. Though as long as Scourge McDuck is free farming on the Terrorblade, I suppose you're just happy. Because at the end of the day, it is still a Terrorblade. Maybe you're a little bit afraid of the matchup against Sammy, but there comes a point where Scourge should feel confident. Sammy, though, is having a great time. And he's got a growth burn. Well, that's great.
Yep.
Radiant's middle tower has
Feeling great. Has about 800 attack range. Always nice to see on that hero. And his Mjolnir isn't too far off now. So another big damage spike for the Muerta. He'll start going down. Sunlight.
They don't have the stuns on this support duo of the cut, but they do have an avalanche to come in. Charge out from Ade will ensure they get the job done. That is a position 5 techies you're committing 4 heroes for, mind you. But I suppose a kill's a kill right now for the cut. They'll take it.
You'll take what you can get. Again, this lineup of the cut does still want to play hit and run with tiny clinks and spirit breakers. So just finding any kill, it's a pretty big opening. RCY.
Jump in onto the park. RCY. Try to jaunt away. Begon on the chase. Dreamcore committed. RCY not going to die yet. Ade still rushing forward. The sticky bomb going to slow him up. He had charge in 1 second, but couldn't keep up the vision on the puck. So MTD now coming in with an avalanche. Everyone just trying to kill off the puck. The blast off, it's going to land. MTD, he'll get the toss out. He'll get the toss out before he has to leave the area.
under attack.
Barely getting RCY. And he even drops the voice line.
Big plays out from MTD again. Just setting the pace here for the cut. Getting these kills they really need to build up on their own. On the side of wildcard, sure you're still ahead in Sammy. You've got the core that feels good, but with a farm on Ade and MTD, jumping the backline's not going to be too tough here. Monster just gets clipped by MTD, but there's no one around to back him up on the tide. Would not want to have to pop the Ravage here to stay alive.
He's got the pipe up. He should be able to block a lot of the damage off from MTD. Still taking a fair bit here, though. Might need to Ravage right now. His team is incoming. The monster still tanks through it. But all that throwing, they threw everything but the kitchen sink. And the Tide, he just still walks out casually.
Yeah, that's a lot of space being built up by wildcard. A lot of commitment coming out there from the cut. They are forced to retreat and reset. You are still farming great, but full Mjolnir for Sammy. He wants to show that off here.
Is under attack.
Why not? It's a lot of damage now. And the range you spoke about, 800 range on the Muerta with the Grove Bow and the Dragon Lance. Like, he can stand a mile away and get this damage off. They're not going to go for much yet. They won't see the opening they're looking for. Oh, MTD, he'd be a great target. Can he blink away in time? Yes, he can.
Is under attack.
That was right before the sun came out. The nighttime vision allowing MTD to blink out of there. Wildcard not having the observer wards to scout out the tiny. Bit unfortunate for them. Very close game, John. 9-7. Less than 1k net worth lead the way of the cut, but it really does feel like anyone's game at the moment.
I think you've got your timings lined up here for Scourge McDuck. Scotty not too far off. They got a good jump here.
Yeah, but Ade's by himself. Ade is completely on his own. MTD was trying to rush in, but he was still too far away to blink for the avalanche toss combo. Ade just feeds his life away again on the Spirit Breaker.
It's a little bit keen to try to go for the solo pick-off.
Dire are
Good punishment
scanning.
coming out here from Wildcard. It does take the Ravage, so they know that there's no big team fight spell available on Monster. We'll find the Ench at least for their trouble.
That's just not the best trade, though, for sure. Position 3 for position 4. Flea, sure, he won't enjoy dying, but he'll have a 4-staff soon. And once the 4-staff is up,
Dire
Flea won't be anywhere near as afraid of B-God as he has been. He's able to 4-staff away from those skellies. MTD. Well, he'll jump in on Monster, but we know what's going to happen there. Oh, and Scourge. He
Oh,
lost
no.
a huge courier.
Yeah.
Ultimate Orb and Point Booster being lost. That was his full Scotty.
is under
That's
attack.
gone for 2 minutes, 15 seconds now.
Yeah, that is not good. That is a huge opening for the side of Wildcard, and they'll instantly smoke up. They can start to punish this terribly, but without the stat padding, can still be very susceptible to the damage output here. Instead, they're clumping around bot. They could go for the Roshan. With a tide, this doesn't take too long. Here's the Veil ready here as well.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's
Roshan being dealt with quite easily here by Wildcard. They've certainly got enough damage. Mind you, the Cut are not around to try and contest this, and I'm not 100% sure if they even know what's happening. But I suppose with the Skadi timing going down for the Terrorblade, at least for 2 minutes, you don't really have a great option in the matter. RCY in the meantime, he's defending on his own. He's already found B-God top lane, even catching Imperium with a nice Dream Coil. That'll be a secondary kill to RCY. The Cut, they just can't catch a break. They lose Roshan, they lose 2 supports, they can't get a tier 2 tower, they lose their TB courier. Everything going wrong in the last minute for the Cut.
Yeah, not what you want to see here for the Cut. It's getting a little bit rough with secondary life ready for Sammy. It's a little bit strange with Murta. Arguably, again, the transformation here doesn't feel great with Aegis. At the same time, well, we haven't seen Sammy die yet, so I don't know if you can even take care of the first life here on the side of the Cut. They are riding through this period with no Skadi on Scourge McDuck quite nicely, though. That should be up and running with the Manta style when the courier respawns. So you're starting to feel really good on that Terrorblade. You've got a lot of output, a lot more stats to play with. I think, well, we're just waiting for the coil to unwind here. We're waiting for that tension to release. Sammy?
Bottom lane. TD gonna try and start on Flea. Sammy, he'll get started himself. Flea already down though. Sammy caught between a rock and a hard place. Might lose that Aegis, but no, he's got the Pierce of the Veil. Going to, oh my god. That was a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage. My goodness, and now the coil out. MTD's been caught. MTD, stunned up, perma-stunned here, is set to fall.
Dire's middle tower is under
I did not realize how much damage that did.
Yeah, you want this universal, Mike? Would you like that?
I still want it, John. Someone make it happen, Valve, please. One patch.
No.
One sub-patch, make it happen.
No, I want it to be a mistake by the janitor. You know, he accidentally tries to change something in Murta's code line, redefines her as universal, and then the game is just busted. That could be the way to go. Like, as long as Pierce the Veil is up, this hero is just nutty, man. And this is without the full complement of Murta's power spikes. Like, what we tend to see towards late game after defensive items and BKB link-ins is, again, Skadi or Daedalus with a Moonshard. And when you can machine gun through with Pierce the Veil and the Gunslinger, it's like, yeah, everyone's dead. They just die like that.
There you go. I mean, you know, I take back what I said, John. Not as weak of a hero as I once thought. Though I suppose I agree with the point you made earlier. It is a bit more niche as a carry, as B-God now. Speaking of niche, moving on to RCY. MTD there to back him up. Avalanche will lock him down. Toss is up, and they'll have plenty of damage here for RCY. That's a great pick-off here for the Cut.
They've got really good vision coming out from the Cut. And they've got good forward wards. They've got the sentries to defend those ward positions. No sort of defensive vision in the jungle from Wildcard, which is where they're being picked off. Might be able to find MTD now, though.
It's okay. He's got the backup. Here comes Sammy, though. That's the big one. Speaking of big ones, the Ravage was huge to boot. And everyone is melting. Triple kill for Sammy. Holy crap.
Yeah. Murta in this game, man. It's what do? You can't even run up a Scourge McDuck. He had Metamorphosis. He knew that was a lost cause when MTD was caught out. You just can't run in. You can't deal with his hero. And this is Sammy without the BKB. Once he's got BKB, you don't need to care at all.
The damage. 4,750 damage from Sammy in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Look at this. We'll see once the Ravage comes out. Holy crap.
Radiant's top tower.
Yep.
It's
Deleted. They're gone. BKB doesn't save you either. It doesn't.
Radiant's
That's
top
right, they
tower
changed
is
it.
under attack.
Yeah, you gain a 50% magic res. Alright, I mean, that's cool. But Sammy will still rip you apart. That's the one frustrating thing about playing against the Murta. And BKBs actually don't save you. You have to just burst her. You have to wait for Sammy's BKB to go down as well, and then just go for the avalanche toss. Heck, actually, if MTD can start with an avalanche toss onto Sammy, that's a straight up kill.
Well, he's got the Tide instead. Monster doesn't have the Ravage though. He's just casually walking out. Arne's moving in. Sammy is literally standing his ground. It's a shootout, but Sammy's the only one shooting. Sammy's the only one shooting. He is the Wild Wild West. Go ahead, punks. Make my day, he says.
The dumber thing is that his shard is actually insane. 30% spell lifesteal during it, and he gains 2% spell amp every time a kill happens around him.
Of course he does.
That's why. I get the 30% spell lifesteal, sure. But the fact that he'll also just get stacks of spell amp when kills happen around him during that Pierce the Veil, it's like, kills will always happen when you pop Pierce the Veil. So you will always get more spell amp. Spell amp on a guy that does magical damage on his ultimate. Scaling up, like, this is ridiculous. Can be ridiculous.
Can be. BKB up next for Sammy Boy. What's Scourge building? He's going for the silver edge, so not seeing the value in the BKB this game, which I suppose is absolutely fair, because I don't think it would matter that much against the Muerta this game around. Mind you, like, the one concern I have for Scourge is if you get Ravaged, which has been the big kind of spell in these team fights, like one Ravage, and Sammy just needs a couple seconds to delete everyone in the fight. Like this Gunslinger combo with the Mjolnir, and now a double damage rune, by the way, on our Muerta. You know, like one good Ravage, everyone's just getting wiped.
They're just going to be dead. We've got the Lincolns to protect now on Sammy, BKB afterwards. I kind of want to see whether or not the Daedalus is something you'd want to gun for. Otherwise, the Scotty's pretty good here with a Moon Shard. Either one kind of works out. I would want to see him buy his own shard, just because it's so impactful. I don't think you can afford to wait for the Tormentors. It does look like he will. But man, just 30% spell lifesteal during Pierce the Veil. Like, the fact that it's like a satanic active for you with your damage. You're just gonna have fun. This is the point where Muerta's fun, right? We talked about the power spikes being a bit funky. Up and down it is from laning phase into the mid game. But as you approach 30 minutes with this itemization, Muerta starts to feel really good. Granted, again, there are a couple of caveats. You're always susceptible to burst damage. BKB or not in Sammy. If MTD can jump you first, avalanche toss you, then you are pretty much dead. Almost.
They're gonna find dead. MTD. He shows top lane. The avalanche is gonna go into the creep wave. He's feeling confident with the Shadow Blade, but the Dream Call's gonna land. They know he's in there. They'll dust him up. MTD is gone. He was confident to get away that time, but that was not how it works out for him. At least they are pressuring the top tier 3 quite a bit. So they are forcing Wildcard to run across the map to try and address that. That's one positive, but that's about the only gameplay they seem to have right now on the cut.
Just a little bit of a split push coming out. It's been a farm fiesta for Scourge McDuck. He's shown up for a couple of fights, but not too many. Shadow Blade up. It's full Silver Edge flying out now. So you will have a little bit more output, but I don't know if that's going to help against Sammy just yet. I mean, level 20 talent up, 20% Gunslinger chance, so a total of 70%, which is pretty much 100% for the most part here for the Muerta. And despite, not doing too much with the Aegis here on Wildcard, they should be able to still find that room to shove in. They're shoving in top and mid. The clear is there from MTD. But there's that full BKB that we've been waiting for on Sammy. They are trying to collapse onto bot here.
Silver Edge up on Scourge McDuck. At least you have that up now. I just don't know how much it's going to matter. Like, I suppose just kiting out the Muerta is the main play with that, but here we go. Smoke up again. Obviously, the break very effective against Monster to boot. Here we go. Down towards the bottom lane. Smoke on smoke scenario between these two. The cut. Looking to move in. So are Wildcard. Lincoln's picked up by RC White. So even more defense coming from the puck. The cut's still looking for an angle here, but Wildcard are baiting on that bot creep wave, though it is complete bait. Monster's going to jump in. MTD caught out. He tried to go for a TP out of this. I believe, if I saw that correctly. No, never mind, he didn't. It was the Glimmer Cape animation. Never mind that, though, because look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, nah.
Who cares about the TP miss thing I said, John? They get caught by this Dream Coil. It's all over.
Dream Coil or Ravage, and even that dead shot coming out actually sets up onto MTD here from Sammy. And you just see what happens. You're a Terrorblade with Scotty. You've got a decent amount of stats, you just die from a few hits from Sammy here. As he is soloing Roche as well, which is kind of ridiculous, but he should have some assistance now, and that is Aegis and Cheese. That will go the way of Wildcard. And the game's certainly in their hands right now. Win probability up to 93%. I don't know if you can stop Sammy at all. Like, MTD has to get this jump. If he doesn't get the avalanche toss onto Sammy, then it doesn't feel like there's much hope. Because that is the one hero you really have to worry about. You could get Ravage all you want. You could get coiled, but the damage is coming out from Sammy boy. And there's just no one to stop him.
Top lane, B-God. Oh, B-God's gone. No chance. And I'm trying to find some kind of light at the end of the tunnel here for the cut right now. Like,
Wait.
What item? What is?
Wait, why is Sammy going for the parting shot? He's going for the X.
The parting shot.
Yeah, you know, the Ags is you shoot someone, you push out their soul, it's stunned, silenced, and untargetable, and the body takes 50% less damage. So it's weird. I think it's more of a saving spell. It's such a weird. I don't know. This parting shot's weird. It used to be bugged, so you could parting shot like a Phoenix and have 2 eggs up, have the soul cast egg, and then when Phoenix is back up, like this. You have a Phoenix and an egg at the same time, but I believe they've patched all of those interactions out. So I'm not sure what Sammy wants to do with his Ags. Maybe just to save.
So you can use it on your allies then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you can maybe save RCY if he's caught out.
This
You
will
can't
be
shoot
the first
yourself.
time I'm seeing it. As MTD tries to jump in, gets no toss back. T3 tower in the mid lane is gone. Sammy is gonna shred through these Raxes at a decent pace with the gunslinger. So this is a good, like, gunslinger on buildings just seems a bit too much almost in a game like this. Is MTD again gonna miss out on the toss, and now Monster jumping in, forcing the BKB. Pump fakes the Ravage, so no BKB available. MTD had just picked this one up as well, so that was your 9-second duration now down. Wildcard, no
on, Mikey.
real fear of losing this next fight.
You can't say Gunslinger's silly in buildings when you wanted Muerta to be universal. You gotta say, oh, it's kind of trash. Make it universal. You know, sell me on it. Sell me on it.
It's kind of hard. What, do you work at Valve now, John? Is there something I don't know about? Are's
Unless you
caught.
know, Mike.
Coil is there. Meteor Hammer's obviously not going to land, but Monster said screw that anyway. Ravage committed. I guess they kind of have to ensure they secure the kill, because he could have charged away had they not. There you go. Ravage committed. I don't think
really going
Wildcard.
for it.
Why not,
Sam's
John?
really going for the Axe Blessing. I mean, surely the Shard. Surely the Shard with the spell Lifesteal. Then again, he's not dying, so I suppose there's no use. If you're not losing HP, Lifesteal doesn't make sense, right?
Well, what
So
point is
that
life
kinda
still
makes
if you're not
sense.
dying, John?
Yeah,
Makes
exactly
sense,
it.
yeah.
I mean, the spell amp would be nice though, but I guess it's just a bonus. I am keen on seeing what the hell will he do with this parting shot. what do you do with that? Like, it's so weird. Like, it's a saving spell with damage. It's like, what? I guess it makes
Let
sense
us
with Pierce
see.
the Veil because it only is like physical resist, like 50% physical damage reduction. So in Pierce the Veil, you don't care. So I guess you could burst yours down.
Here we go. Wildcard right through the top lane of Barracks. No problems here for the Muerta. One lane of Barracks left for Megas, and the Cut have just not had a chance to abuse any of their net worth. Like, all this net worth that they've got means zero, it seems. Like, Wildcard, they get one good jump, the fight's over. Here we go. They'll have to smoke up. They have to be the aggressors on the Cut, but the problem is the mines are giving all the info away. Sunlight, he's gonna blast off, try to get out of here. Arde's in the middle of nowhere again, though. He was forced to charge to try and set up a team fight. It's so tough. The way Wildcard have played out this draft is just perfect. You can't be the aggressors against them because they've got mines everywhere to scout out smokes. But if you don't play aggressively and they jump you just get wiped in 2 seconds. There's just no choice.
Radiant's middle tower is under
There's no play for the side of the cut. And again, it's down to the draft opening up with the Spirit Breaker, which we know Ade had a rough time with in game 1. I just not sure why they prioritize it so much, allowing the techies through as well. I understand the bans, but seeing that game 1, surely some respect bans were necessary there from the cut. Wildcard, it just doesn't feel like they're being contested here. Aegis will expire, so Sammy might be in a risky position, but he hasn't died yet. I don't know if the Aegis will really matter too much for him. So they'll just keep shoving in bot, and perhaps gun for the high ground. They've got Ravage, they've got the Coil, they've got everything ready.
Here we go again. One final defense perhaps to come here from the cut. They don't have many buybacks. The Ravage is out. Scourge, he got the BKB in time, so he's going to avoid the initial stun. In they go, though, with the calling, just holding everyone back. Still, Pierce the Veil has not been committed yet. He's holding out. There it is. Sammy pops it now. There's a secondary Ravage monster. He's got them all. He has got everyone. And everyone just melts. It's over. Just call it. It's done. It was done 20 minutes ago. Wildcard, they have made it, Jonathan. The first team to get to Division 1 NA for Tour 1 next year. It's going to be Wildcard. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. They clean up their performance here as well. Like we figured this would be a competitive match up against the cut. It looked a lot cleaner from Wildcard. This is the kind of plays that we were looking for Wildcard this entire tour up against a lot of other teams. And it doesn't really come out until the end, but it comes out in big fashion in the one series that really matters here to get back into Division 1. And this draft as well. Like the drafting coming out from Wildcard, I think, has been the one shining point. Like they get to just start with monsters off lane every single time. And, you know, game 1 maybe a little bit slower for Monster. Game 2, certainly not. Just having this stable foundation to kind of be able to sack, right? Like, because you open up with the offlaner. All right, we're playing Tidehunter into Terrorblade. Not the best of times. Scourge Mukdok has a good time, but the space they get for the picks for Sammy and RCY is huge. I think that's the one thing. And Sunlight, again, on the techies has just done fantastic work. Like, techies in both games for Sunlight and Flea has looked phenomenal. I'm surprised the cut just never respect them. The cut didn't adjust. The cut still pick up that Spirit Breaker, which just didn't do much in both games here. Just a little bit surprising.
Absolutely a massive win here for Wildcard. And you know, what can you say? Like game 2 just looked absolutely dominant from this side. Wildcard just no hesitation in pulling off this game 2 victory. And this is just the example of what happens. Like you get coiled, you get ravaged, you are just going to get destroyed by the Muerta. And, it was a really, you know, I had my doubts throughout this game, John, but those doubts were quashed very quickly by Sammy Boy here. As this side of Wildcard, they really came out to play in game 2. And it just felt like the cut, they had zero chance in this poor game 2. I mean, obviously, you have to argue it was probably outdrafts both games. I'm sure we'll get to find out in an interview very soon exactly what Wildcard were thinking. But, I mean, the cut, at least they have tiebreakers to go back to. That's one positive for themselves. Wildcard, on the other hand, they're straight back to Div 1.
Yeah, they get to journey back into the spot where I'm sure they feel like they do certainly belong. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that next tour. Of course, Wildcard 10-0-10 on Sammy. I didn't even, again, never dying. He deserves that MVP. His light shines brightest in the darkness, Mike. He turned off the lights and, well, Sammy's online 10-0-10. He plays Muerta into basically a triple melee core matchup. Feels amazing there. No one stops him. Gets to have fun. He gets this parking shot that we never even see used. He farmed up for an Ags Blessing and just didn't need to use it.
Yeah,
Great.
That is that's very, very true, John. Just never got used up. I mean, quite frankly, it just didn't need it. Didn't care for it. He just got the Ags Blessing and that was it. Off we go. I'm fully slotted here, says Sammy, with a Wraith Band still in his bag, but nevertheless, it all works out for him. And props to Wildcard again, John. I mean, this is a team that I think everyone assumed would be back in Div 1 next year. They looked like there was a few moments where we were kind of starting to doubt them a little bit based off the 3-game series we constantly saw out from them, but they still made it. And we do have an interview with Flea himself coming right up, so let's head over to Flea and see what he has to say. Mr. Flea, congratulations on making it back to Division 1 here with Wildcard. How the hell are you feeling, my friend? Oh, you might be muted, Mr. Flea. We can't hear you, sir. There you go.
Hello? You guys hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Oh, I said thank you. Kind of happy, yeah.
Well, I mean, game 1, game 2, you guys looked very confident after the drafts ended. I want to ask you specifically about the first draft. The cut ended up bringing up this mid Darkseer. What was your reaction to all this? Like, what was going on in your mind when you saw these heroes coming out from the cut?
I mean, we just knew they're gonna lose. The last big Darkseer mid.
Even game 2, I couldn't help but notice you guys looked super happy when the Muerte came out as the last pick for Sammy Boy. I'm imagining the same kind of reaction from yourself. You just thought this is going to be the easiest win of your life?
Yeah, it was a free game for Marta. Like, she would be untouchable, like in their draft and our draft. So we had a better draft regardless. I don't think the Murder mattered. Like, we can just pick any carry and we just win through the draft.
Okay, all right. You asked me last time, Flea, to have some spicy questions. I do have one spicy question for you. Last series around, you had some choice words towards the side of Mark and the boys from Cedar, but you ended up losing 2-1. Flea, what the hell happened?
Oh, I mean, we just beat ourselves. Same thing, you know. Actually, we kind of wanted a rematch from them. Like, we thought they were gonna win yesterday. I think it was yesterday. They had a game against some team and they lost. But like, yeah, we wanted them to win, so we would have rematched. We would just destroy them, honestly.
Go on,
But
John.
they lost. They
Go on.
sucked.
All right. All right, we now, going back into Div 1, it's going to be the Wild Card Revenge Tour. Is there any team that you want to trash in Division 1? Any team that you specifically want to play against that you guys have strong feelings for? Or you personally have strong feelings for playing up against?
Probably leading to TI qualifiers. If TSM and Nouns doesn't directly qualify, like, we kind of want to beat them. Yeah.
Is there any motivation outside that they're within the top 3, or is there anything else that's going on there with these matchups versus TSM and Nouns?
Not much. It's just like they're just like the good teams, right? Like the rest, like it's just random teams, just switching placements from every season. So, but like those 2 teams are always consistent at the very least.
Fair enough. And we did see some lobby chat there. I know you guys are friends with people like, say, Empyrean. Are you really going to play Dawn of War with someone who you just beat up? Like, are you really going to play with someone who's a loser, as some would say?
Kinda, yeah. I have a pity game. Gotta give my boy some. I have to make him happy.
Good.
He's gonna stand right now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's the Filipino empathy, Mr. Flea. I understand that. Giving free ones out, for sure. Trying to think of a spicy question. Is there any...
Just ask me what I'm
What
gonna
do you
do.
think
Just ask me
was...
what I'm gonna do.
Okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do after this win?
I'm probably gonna plow some old trees around my area. You know what I mean? Gonna water down some old orchids, some old flowers in my area.
All right.
Have to give them some
sprinkles. Those old plants in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the old plants in your area need caring for. Yeah.
Yep. Gotta have some
Thank you for
visit,
that.
Gonna drop by, hey, please come, get ready.
Look, I'm gonna ask you one last question. A generic question. Who's winning the tiebreaker tomorrow? Which other team's getting to do what? Who's doing it?
Is it wait, let me see. It's Raven, Cedar,
And the cut.
oh, probably the cut, honestly. I think it's
Okay.
the cut, and then it's I'll say Raven because they beat C-Dub. So it's the cut Raven and C-Dub in order.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. C-Dub just getting absolutely no love here from Flea. Flea, with that, we'll let you get to your celebration. I know you've got a lot of work to do with those trees, so congratulations on your victory here, and we can't wait to see you back in. Unless you have something to say to the fans, Flea. Do you have any words for the Wildcard fans before we let you go?
Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. You know, I post some spicy stuff sometimes whenever I'm in the mood. Thank you for our sponsor, Wildcard Gaming. To our boss Griff, to our analyst Megs, and to my teammates. And then yeah, I'm probably gonna sharpen my tool, ready to plow tonight or tomorrow morning early. We'll see what's up.
All right.
Well, Flea, before can you drop your Twitter handle, sir? Just in case.
Oh,
nobody
it's
knows.
Flea Dota, guys. At Flea Dota. It's the only
There you
one
go.
handsome Asian guy in NA division. So yeah, you won't miss it.
Oh, Flea, there you go. You got +1 follower. Apparently, embarrassingly enough,
Thank
I
you,
wasn't
thank
following.
you.
So my apologies, Flea. Now I am. There you go.
I'm disappointed.
I apologize, Flea. I apologize. With that, though, congratulations on your victory. And again, we can't wait to see you next year in NA Div 1 again with Wildcard. Congrats.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See
Thank
ya.
you. Bye-bye.
I love talking to this guy. I really do. Like, he keeps us on our toes. Last interview, I thought to myself, if we get Flea again, we've got to have some questions ready. Obviously, you and I, we're pretty stupid, John. We didn't have any questions ready. Flea does show up again. I was convinced Sammy Boy was going to rear his head out of wherever the hell he's been to have a chat with us, but apparently not. Flea's the one that's taking over here for Wildcard. And, well, there you go, Jonathan. The man, he loves his trees. He loves his old trees in particular, as we are going to see the standings here in the leaderboard. Wildcard, obviously first place now. They have made it into NA Division 1. There's no question about it. The thing is, though, we have a three-way tiebreaker, which I believe is starting tomorrow, if I'm not incorrect in saying so. Hopefully I'm not. C-Dub, Ravens, and the Cut. They're going to be in a three-way tiebreaker. Tomorrow is going to be the day that happens. Of course, the bottom four, Tilted Boys, the American Goons, Nexus Titans, and Grin, they are bottom four. Nexus Titans, Grin, they have to be relegated. The other two will stay in Division 2. But nonetheless, there's still three teams that have a chance to fight for Division 1, all happening tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be action-packed. I honestly can't tell who's going to win between C-Dub, Ravens, and the Cut. I think it's really close across the board, and we have our schedule on hand. For those tiebreakers, we will start off with a simple best-of-3 tiebreaker of the Goons and Tilted Boys, and then we get into the spicy tiebreaker, the ones that could go on forever, the best of ones between Ravens, C-Dub, and the Cut. So a little bit more of a bog standard best-of-3 for the prize pool difference here for the American Goons and Tilted Boys, but then, Mike, the spice happens after that.
It certainly does. It certainly does. The Cut versus whoever wins, the Cut versus whoever wins that. I mean, it's going to be a very, very exciting day here, Jonathan, for some tiebreakers tomorrow. And what's your prediction? Like, give me a team that's going to make it through.
It's really hard to tell. I would maybe say the Cut, but I don't know. I feel like C-Dub on a good day is better than the Cut on a good day. At the same time, they lost to Ravens, so it's like I don't even know. I can't tell. It's too close between all of these teams. It's a coin toss of whoever's feeling themselves more on that day. I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up with just 2 cycles, 3 cycles on that tiebreaker. So it could be a very long one tomorrow, Mike.
It certainly could be. The tiebreakers could be just all over the place. A long day ahead of us here tomorrow for some NA Div 2 action. John, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. You haven't asked me to, but I will. I think, surprise upset, Jonathan, I think Ravens are making it through to NA Div 1. That's what I'm going to say. I think it's going to be very close between all three teams, but I think our boy Ray from the Ravens, they might just do it, John, based on what I've been seeing. Still, that is it for today. Obviously, we've got to go head to bed, Jonathan, because we have a very long day ahead of us tomorrow for NA Div 2. So it is MLP Dota, it is John X Fire. Same place, same time tomorrow. We'll be back for some more great Dota to end things off for the DPC. But thanks for watching. We'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.